Oh, okay. So now it's recording.
Yes, I did. Monday.
Hey.
Okay, we are now recording. We are at the airport, ready to leave on our trip to Israel. We have 7 of our group with us. Say hello, everybody. Annika, Kim, Lizzie, a guy's back, Natalie, Diana, Asya. So, everybody excited to go?
Yeah.
Let's have a toast, right? Here's to a great trip.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Yes, to the yes.
Cheers.
And we will see you in Israel, God willing. So, good morning, everybody.
Good
morning. So I'm getting everybody in on this glorious morning.
Yeah, please don't fall over.
All right. Anyway, just make sure that from now on that you know your buddies. So the folks in the back, just wave. Put your face in the so we get everybody. Okay, and we're starting off at the Bialik Rogazim School, and I'll tell you more, but I'm going to shut this right now. This is the second day of our trip. We had a problem with the camera for the wonderful first day to all the different organizations in Tel Aviv and Jaffa. And now we're back in Jaffa meeting with Sami Abu, who is a city council member, Arab leader, community activist, and meeting with him and some of his community partners. Here's our group, the second morning, refreshed after a jet lag and a 12-hour touring day.
I love how social networking sites make my life look so much more beautiful.
So we are now, you're all being videoed. Is there anything you want to say for posterity?
Maybe later in the day.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not for posterity now.
Okay. And Kim has been recording. So we need 2 people to take notes this morning and then 2 people for notes this afternoon. Okay, so we need...
I'll take notes.
It's hot. Careful. Okay, Lavinia and who else? And Alana. Good morning.
Good morning.
So here we are back with Sammy.
Welcome also today.
Yes. Welcome, Sammy.
Thank you, Terry. Welcome.
We can say hello to our folks back home.
Hello, their folks back home. I'm Sammy.
Okay. He's been a wonderful historian, guide to old and new Jaffa.
Because of their historical experience, they are thinking and acting like a minority. Okay. And this is, and when you are such a powerful side, but you think and act like a minority, it's really hard to get logical politics. And another thing is the religious component of the conflict. Another big part of both sides is not dealing with the conflict as a political conflict that you had a political solution if it ends. A lot of the people still believe.
At the start, for your second question.
I would like to say something for the first question.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm sorry?
I would like to say something for your first question about activism. It took Mahmoud 2 months to start talking in our meetings. And then it took him 1 month to lead the demonstrations.
A fast learner.
For your second question, it was a really hard experience at the first year, of course. I know Hebrew. I studied in the school Hebrew, but my Hebrew was so weak. A lot of words I just didn't know it, and I have to face this. I have to to know more. I read books. I have just to put much more effort than any other student in order to succeed. Even double of effort than them. I have to study the material every.
Well, and so families start living together for the better and for the worse, and Jaffa, from a very proud cultural center for Palestine, becomes a slum. And it's under budgeted. In the early 50s, Jaffa becomes part of the Jaffa Tel Aviv municipality, and it's officially called Jaffa Tel Aviv, not Tel Aviv Jaffa. They tend to forget it for various reasons, very symbolic. And the Jewish population that comes to Jaffa is also mostly from, not mostly, but a large part of them are from Arab countries, Arab Jews. One of the things people tend to not to regard is that actually 52% of the Israeli Jewish population comes from Arab countries. They're not Europeans. They're not from a Western background. And the Jews who come from Jaffa are not Western Jews, most of them. Of course there are some, but the majority are not, and especially not in Ajami, where the Palestinian population stays.
It wasn't actually going to happen. And I also wanted to
Elliot
spend some
from
time...
Dima.
Oh. I'm a candid camera.
Not so candid.
And I've also... So I grew up in a traditionally Jewish household, going to synagogue, mostly closely affiliated with conservative denomination of Judaism, for those familiar. There's Orthodox, there's Reform, and a lot of people are somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I grew up somewhere in the middle. And I have a lot of cousins and family in Israel. I've been coming to Israel a lot over the summer since I was a kid, but I've never spent a lot of time here. And it was just a life experience that I wanted to have. So while I was already in the mood of having a quarter-life crisis and like getting a lot of things off my bucket list, I thought I would kill a few birds with one stone, and spend a year of my life volunteering and spend a year of my life in Israel doing that. I came here and I found a program that allowed me to live in Tel Aviv and do volunteering. And the program was run by the Bina, the organization that I'm now working for and speaking on behalf of. And it was a program that involved 3 days. I lived in Jaffa, not far from where you guys were apparently in Ajami. I spent 3 days a week volunteering in Jaffa in Tel Aviv, in different schools, nonprofits, and 2 days a week studying at the secular yeshiva, which is run by Bina. We'll get to that. And we'll actually get this. We're willing to do that work, and willing to do that work for that pay. Yeah, most Israelis want jobs that pay more than minimum wage, or don't want to be working in construction, and don't want to be working in home
Sounds
care,
like the United States.
Yes, and yes.
What's this right here?
Okay, I'll explain what this is. This is a volunteer-run public library. Yeah, Levinsky Library.
No, I was just going to say, just in comment, it's like, if they're paying $10,000 for a worker to come, and for me that's outrageous. I can believe the benefit that they really are getting for that $10,000. Not only because they're paying minimum wage, but because maybe, they're not vocal, they cannot really say anything that they're doing to them. Like, it's very much a controlled population that $10,000 stretches so much more for them than what we think it does.
How much money do people look at across the border? And to work for less than minimum wage, but they're still making way more money than they would be making back in their home countries.
It's a first world, third world problem, right?
Yeah.
The question was, well, why would people come for $10,000? That's a lot of money. Why would they come here just to work for minimum wage? It's terrible conditions, and it's minimum wage or less, but it's still better than they would be making back in Mexico, back in the Philippines, back in Thailand. So they're still able to pay off their debt and send money back home.
This way. Where is this in?
Another great thing is about a child before murders is expelled. By the way, in terms of all these expulsions are going on, deportations are going on, it ends up in the city, but there are lots of born in Israel or came here when they were very young. Watch this right. The first thing they identify as straight, they may be better, and they're supposed to be.
Folks, could you listen, please? It's rude.
So the Supreme Court and blah, 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 blah decides to give permanent residence refugee status to these kids and their families. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But that's really important. There were a couple other questions or comments. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you why.
So the idea is to try
Elliot, could you repeat the question every time, please?
why do they make the law trying to prevent people to send money back to their country? If you notice going on that street, there are a lot of chain places and wire money places, because a lot of people are wiring money or getting money back to home. Israel, I'm going to talk a little more about that. This is different from the ancient. They're constantly trying to discourage people to immigrate into the country. Maybe we managed to make it to this country. Send money back to have churches.
We saw them in the school
And
yesterday.
they have at the Bialik school. They're
Their families, I mean, they're here.
These kids turn 18, they join the Israeli army. Which I think is really great from Israel, adding to diversity. We've only had this idea of non-Jews immigrating to this country, wanting to be here since 1990. This is a global phenomenon, right? People are coming to this country, and Mexicans aren't coming to America just to work for a few years and go back home.
Yeah.
They're going to come and they want to stay and they want to make it their home. This is just kind of occurring to Israel now. Oh, wait a minute. These people don't want to just...
The family builds its own library in the home.
תגידי להם שעברתי קורס מנטורית, שסיימתי פה קורס מנטורית
She took a mentoring course here, where she's now a mentor. היה לך גם mentoring?
עכשיו יש לי, אני בתהליך, יש לי. תגידי להם שעשיתי קורס עיסוי כדי להתגבר על הפחד ממגע.
She took a course, a massage therapy course, in order to help her overcome her fears of being touched.
אני אתרגם אותך. אוקיי. תגידי להם עכשיו אנחנו במצב שעשינו ועדה גדולה עם כל השותפים, עם הפסיכולוגים, עם הפסיכיאטרים, עם כל החבר'ה האלה, בשביל לראות איך אנחנו עוזרים לילד, איך אנחנו עוזרים לילדים, ואיך בעצם מקימים את הבית מהמקום הנמוך הזה שהוא נמצא, איך מרימים אותו.
A few weeks ago, there was a committee with all the psychologists and the psychiatrists and people from the school of their children and the student and Ilana from here, trying to figure out what's the best way to create the best system to raise the home from the place they are now, to help the kids in the best way.
תגידי להם שאני, ברגע שהתגרשתי, התחלתי לעבוד, ואני מפרנסת.
חולדות, הכל היה פה. The whole place was full of rats.
איפה התמונות של המקום שקלים?
It was full of rats.
בוא שקלים
It was a
לידי.
place with drug addicts and come down. It was a nasty mess. Okay, that's the best way I could put it, a nasty mess.
ובאמצעות העבודה שעשינו עם התושבים, מה שחשוב לנו להגיד לפני הסטודנטים, שזה תוצר של הקהילה.
This is a product of the community, which you see today.
מי שהקים את זה בעצם, זה אנחנו ביחד עם התושבים ומתנדבות מהשכונה. מה שמיוחד פה זה השיתוף פעולה, המתנדבות, האימהות, הילדים, כולם ביחד עושה את המקום הזה לכיף. כן, זה אילנה אמרה לא נווה דוד, גם נווה דוד עכשיו.
Okay, she said that what she would like to say is, and she don't say a lot, but she would like to add that the participation of the parents. This place started off with a few mothers and children, but over the last 2 years, there's so many parents and children, and every week, more and more parents are coming because the parents talk to other parents. They go to the park and they see other parents and they tell them about the faith. So they now reaching out and soliciting other mothers to participate. In addition to that, there's another community not far from here that also have joined.
הליך מאוד מאוד משמעותי, מאוד. היא לא האמינה בחיים, בלחיות היא לא האמינה שאפשר לחיות, נכון חנה? אוקיי? תגידי.
She said, Hannah, every time she said...
Yes, see? Okay, good. So we keep talking. Ask them. They have something else.
יש לכם שאלות?
хотите что-то спросить?
You guys have any questions for the seniors? Any questions? Go ahead. Please ask questions.
I imagine that, I'm guessing here that many of them have lived here for several years, longer than when your organization came in and started working. And I just wanted to know from their perspective, how is the community then, and how is the community now?
Okay.
Good question for them.
For Hebrew Israelites in America to return back to the promised land. Now, he got that vision in '66, and we left out of America in '67. If you remember in America during that time, the winds of unrest was blowing through the cities of America. There were riots in America. Out of America without having the CIA, the FBI, wondering where we were going. Well, we went to Liberia, West Africa, as a place where we could reconnect ourselves with the continent that we originally came from. We accustomed ourselves to how to sustain ourselves by reconnecting our relationship with the earth there, because we had to learn how to farm and do a lot of things, because, you know, coming out of America, we was buying everything from the supermarket. You know, we thought tomatoes grew on the shelves in the supermarket. We didn't know they came out of the ground. But we had to do a lot of things to sustain ourselves. But after 2.5 years in Liberia, West Africa, we as a people, as a group, came to the land of Israel based upon the prophecies. What is big pictures? You hear me? Mahatma Gandhi said in 1926 that industrialization would be the demise of the Western world. Because when they came to India, people were sitting down making the cloth, you know, on those little handmade machines. Then Europeans came in, they want to do everything, make machines. So then when you get the machines in there, then you put people out of work. Okay? So we got an economic vision too for the world. We have a health vision for the world. We have a divine relationship between men and women in the world. Because all those things that I mentioned to you are all in the social sphere. And we got some problems. I'm saying globally. Men and women can't even sit down and talk together and respect the divine responsibilities that they have been given. You understand? I understand why women live, because men wasn't doing them right. So what we're saying, we are an ensign.
So we are now in an unrecognized village, whose name I will mention later, and we are having a lunch. And we're going to hear about the issues here in this very small, out-of-the-way village.
Says, I wish there was an institutionalized communication channel, but the only channel that the states communicates with us is through home demolitions, and it barely ever talks to representatives of the villages, and the only achievements that we have had been achieved through appeal to the Supreme Court, and also there we don't always succeed in.
אני רציתי להגיד דבר, בקשר להריסות.
And this is what an unrecognized village looks like, quite poor, Quite desolate, quite struggling, but lovely people. Anyway.
לא מוכר, לכפר מוכר, זה היה קשה לאישה שלא למדה, אישה שאין לה השכלה, אין לה תעודה. מה יכולה לעשות?
So women at that point were used to basically everything we just said. Water comes from a well, agriculture, living in a tent,
They had milk and cheese.
Right, they had goats, right, so they had goats for milk and cheese, and then when they wanted to switch town from an unrecognized village to a recognized one, it was hard for the women.
Please, guys.
So, hi. I want to
Hi. Hi.
My name is Yasmin Al-Karnawi. We are from Al-Najah School from Raha. We are, all of us, the students here in 11th grade, we have to talk about our goals, needs, and also about our culture. So I hope that you enjoy the show. Our goals are it's to get a high mark in English, how to communicate each other in the international language, and to make another people to know about us more, because there's some people think about our culture some information that's wrong about us, so we will correct them.
Please speak English as we can to the lab where we're speaking better the language English to connect with other people in the other side of the world. To know other people.
Okay. This one is one of our activities. That's we did this activity and.
Do you have more questions for us? We had that one question. More? Please.
What motivates you to come from there to here and meeting people?
Please.
Anyone can answer that, guys.
Please, students. Yes, please. Because all these students come by themselves. You know, they pay for the trip. They come with me. So they should answer. What's motivated? Anybody?
They don't know anything. They want to know if you guys are students. So you're students. Those are students. Like, where are you from? You're all from New York City.
I can tell you what motivated me. Okay. What motivated me is because I grew up in, like yourself, in New York, in two different cultures. And a lot of us in the group have grown up in two different cultures. And so we see social policies in New York, in America, sometimes different, because in the house is one culture and in the world is a different culture. And so for me, I went to social work school because I wanted to I was like, I want to understand people, I want to understand policy, I want to understand things. I'm very curious. I came to Israel with the group because I wanted to understand the policies of Israel and compare them to the ones in the United States. And also I wanted to see the different, Dr. Mizrahi is going to introduce the group to so many different cultures and people that had to come.
Our workers who are Jewish, but they're not, maybe not Orthodox, maybe not, definitely not ultra-Orthodox. The ultra-Orthodox are also called Haredi. So what do? Do you sit with the man talking about his most intimate problems with the door open? And again, you go with the flow. If this is what he wants to do, that's what you do. Okay. Also said that Jerusalem is one of is the largest, also in population, also in area. So you can see that Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Ramat Gan, another city in central Israel, all fit into the geographic area of Jerusalem. Here's the division: 804,000 plus people. The division between Arabs and Jews, and that little piece of the Jewish puzzle, like about one third of the Jewish population in Jerusalem are ultra-Orthodox. So this is
without
university education.
Yeah, just they come free. They don't pay money. They come free, and some of the volunteer.
Reservation. They can just come when we
yeah, in a free
drop in, walking.
There is no fee for services.
They can. So one of the volunteers get them. They can drink coffee or tea, and they trying to speak with them and to understand what is the problem. As you know, most of the people came with a lot of problems, and not all the time they know exactly to explain what is the problem. So we're trying to do with them a process, empowerment process, to give them tools how to deal with the problem, not just to solve the problem. Okay, and like we have the power and the knowledge. We're trying to teach them how to solve them problem. We do it together with them. We write with them the letters. We're calling with them to everyone they need. And we're trying to do it together because we want them, when the next time they have a problem, we hope that not, they know what to do. We have a project here too. One of the projects, Sari spoke about it first, is a speaking work, if you can translate that. It's like 20 women that
it's very, very small, and you can't really live on it. You can't, not really, you can't live on it. And it's based on you can have another income. Well, when you're an employee that doesn't have any pension, and you get out of your work life, and your benefits are like $400 a month, you're supposed to live on $400 a month. It's not livable. It's just not livable, and that's a really big challenge for
The problem in the job market that is most relevant to young people is not only that you can't find a job if you don't have education, it's that the returns of education are decreasing. Nowadays you need education to make it possible to get into jobs that in the past you were able to get into without education. In the process of going to university, especially poor people, they acquire debt, they acquire all kind of commitments, so that even when and hopefully if they do, they come out of university with a degree, it's harder for them to use that degree to start a new life and to integrate in the job market.
And if I could damn ourselves, there was just a study done in one of the in the Beersheba University Center for the Study of the Third Sector, and it found that the average salary in the nonprofit sector is 4,000 shekels.
They would just say their name and where they're from, or just a few words just for the first.
First round.
Okay, like where you're from, where you live, no, where you're really from. As a nationality.
Okay.
My name is Ruth, and I'm from. I live in the little village near Tel Aviv, and I studied in Jerusalem, and now I live in Jerusalem.
אני רק נותנת לך מתכונות של בן אבא.
What's your name again?
Alon.
My name is Pasha. I'm living in Yavne. It's a small city near Tel Aviv. Half hour.
Everything Okay, my name is Moran. Hi, Moran. Nice to meet you. And I'm from Jerusalem for the past 6 years. And that's it. Welcome.
And she's getting married in 2 weeks, no? בעוד 5 שנים לא תעשו ככה.
I'm Angela Maria, and
האוכל הולכת.
Hi, I'm Rosa. I was born in the Dominican Republic, but I grew up in Queens, New York.
Hi, I'm Asia. I was also
Oh my gosh.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from Queens, but now I live in the Bronx.
Hello, I'm Annika. I am from Jamaica. I moved to the States 6 years ago, and I'm living in the Bronx.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm from I said, hi, I'm Brenda. I'm from the Bronx. Descendant from Mandalorian.
I'm Ilana. I live in New York and now in Brooklyn. I'm from New York, and I'm also half Israeli.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Kim. I'm from New York City. Here are my colleagues from Silverman School of Social Work, and thank you for having us.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm from New York. Hi, I'm Diana. I'm from the Bronx as well.
I'm Lizzie. I'm from New York.
And I'm Nick, and I'm from New York.
My name is Elise, and I'm from Israel, Kfar Saba. It's a little city in the center of Israel.
My name is Yael. I live next door in Kfar Saba.
Sorry. I'm Yilden, but it's probably easier for you to call me Yarden. And I moved here 2 years ago from the States, Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. But I was born here and raised here for the most part, so it's really American.
I'm Maya. I'm from the north of Israel, about 45 minutes from Haifa. Now I live in Jerusalem. Yes, okay. So I realized that I met most of you students last year, and I'm Terry Mizrahi, the professor who brought all these great students to Israel. Yay. Did we miss anybody? The two of you?
Ken.
Ella.
I just didn't say, and then...
Ella, did you say?
Yes, sure. My name is Moria, and I'm from next to Jerusalem. And now, Jerusalem.
I'm Ella. I was born in Tel Aviv, but I grew up outside of Boston.
You also know Hebrew?
I'm shy.
Do you speak Hebrew? No?
You want to be Baishanit, she's shy. She knows in Hebrew.
Okay.
I can understand like the
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Edith, I'm from the Hebrew.
And you can say it in 3 languages, or 4 languages.
I'm from Argentina, so I speak Spanish.
Yes, I speak Spanish.
I'm the head of the community social work.
Hi, I am Eti, and I'm the communicator of the Central Learning University. Community Center.
And you're from Gilo.
We are going to be tomorrow.
Where tomorrow?
The last year in Gilo, and then we are going to next year to another
So, yeah, we can explain that. Great. And anybody we missed? Did we have those to know?
כן, תציגו את עצמכם. No. Where are you from, Noah?
I'm originally from here.
This is Noah's house.
I'm living now in Jerusalem.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Hi, I'm Lior. I'm I live in Jerusalem now.
Thank you. And your mother?
And doesn't know English at all.
That's okay. We don't know Hebrew at all. How do you introduce myself? Moshe?
My name is Moses. I'm from Tel Aviv. I'm making meat now.
We're having a wonderful barbecue. These are the students from Community Social Work class of Dr. Edith Lee Cohen, and they invited us to a barbecue. Our students will be presenting on their topics to the students later.
Exactly.
Now the students are having dinner together. Israeli students from Hebrew University and American students together.
There's also yeah, a lot of times they have a worse our children's
I'm Natalie again. This is Rosa and this is Annika. And our presentation is on intimate partner violence in the United States. So one thing, in case you guys are not sure what intimate partner violence is, it's also known as domestic violence. And those terms are now used interchangeably. So if you hear us say IPV or DV, we kind of mean the same thing. Okay? So the first thing I'll do is go over the definition of intimate partner violence. As per the Social Work Encyclopedia, edited in 2008, the definition is physical, sexual, and emotional or psychological abuse or violence perpetrated by intimate partners or acquaintances, including persons who are current or former spouses, cohabitating partners, boyfriends or girlfriends, or dating partners. It includes abuse in the context of same-sex as well as heterosexual relationships. So in the history of domestic violence, some of these relationships were not recognized as domestic violence, especially in the court in the section of family and criminal court. But as of now, intimate partner violence and domestic violence incorporates all types of intimate relationships. Okay? Now, so prior to the 1980s, the police response was primarily just separation and mediation. So when a police officer would respond to a call of domestic violence, they would usually, when we think mediation, we think together as a whole, but what the history was like was that the police would come and speak to the parties individually. So they would speak to one partner and try to find out what the situation was, and then speak to another, kind of just disregard that there was an incident of domestic violence in the home. Okay? So then, an important court case that took place that kind of changed the way domestic violence was viewed was in 1985. A jury verdict awarded
policies, but they were like in each state different things. So in 1994, we had the Violence Against Women Act, which was a national response to domestic violence. So federal funds for shelters, to legal aid for immigrants, for education, for sexual assault prevention. It also called for a bigger law enforcement and criminal justice response to domestic violence because they realized it was a big issue and it needed a national response where all the states were kind of following this.
Male report that he has been assaulted. You know, how do you get assaulted? How did that happen? And even the way the policy is framed, as Rosa made mention of, it's Violence Against Women Act, you know, so the policy itself is for the women. It's not inclusive of everyone, men. However, we do have shelters that accommodate men who might be victims.
Topic is about the elderly, and we have kind of like different topics, but all our topics somehow they are connected. My topic will be about social security. By the way, my name is Aniana, and Sylvia and Miriam, and we all into clinical, and we are focusing on aging. My topic is social security. And for me, what I discovered through my research, because in the United States we have all of these issues that older adults are going through, and we notice that they are in poverty even though they're not under the poverty line. And me, I decided to figure out what's going on with Social Security, so I picked this topic. What I discovered after I picked this topic is, because we always think of the negative, how positive it has been actually since the law had been put into place. It was put into place in 1935. It was enacted, and before that there was nothing that were like a safety net for older adults. Once you work until you die, or if you couldn't work anymore or disabled, let's say, you either will look for help for charities, or your family will help you, or if not, you will end up in a psychiatric hospital. Who knows? It will be like a horrible back in Social Security. Versus the people that are making more money, they get about 28% in ratio of Social Security back. So this is the positive for me, which I'm like, wow, you know, like I'm always thinking about, well, older adults are poor and they're not, you know, they should receive more money. But actually, versus 1935 before, and that was the Great Depression. I know everybody knows about the Great Depression, what was going on. It was a lot higher, the amount of poverty. But now
the life care amongst minorities, and I'm going to give a definition on hospice care. Mm-hmm. It involves a team-oriented approach to provide medical care, pain management, and emotional and spiritual support to patients that are considered to be terminally ill with a lifespan of 6 months or less to live, depending if the disease takes its course. So that's just a little definition. The disparities in access to hospice care are related to minority socioeconomics. So that's income, education, health insurance, and geography.
We are in the community center of Gilo. This is Yafa, the center director.
שאנחנו מטפלים גם בחוגים, גם בכבישים, גם בבנייה, גם בביטחון, גם בבריאות, גם בתעסוקה.
So industry, roads, health, schools, the works. I said roads.
תעסוקה, בריאות, ספורט, כבישים, בנייה,
sports, building, apartments,
everything. בעיקר מה שעוזר לנו, מאחר שאין לנו משאבים עירוניים, מה שעוזר לנו לנהל את כל הארגון זה בעצם המתנדבים שיש לנו בשכונה. מה זה משאבים? משאבים זה money, זה... Sources.
No, resources.
Okay. Stand out for you guys. So, immigration is a very popular topic among a lot of countries, not just the U.S., as we've noticed here in Israel as well.
but we are focusing on just a couple of topics regarding immigration. So just to let you know, it's not limited to just the topics we're discussing. First, I'm going to tell you about the migrant and foreign workers and regarding immigration. In the 40s, in 1940s, the U.S. had a shortage of workers because of the war. World War II was coming about. And they decided to start a program called the Bracero program. It's also known as the guest worker program. And what they did is they recruited a number of Mexican workers to come into the U.S. and fulfill those positions that they were short on, that domestic workers would not take. So that's how the program started. But it was supposed to be Mexico, so a lot of them crossed back over the border illegally, and they remained in the U.S. And then once they came to the U.S., they faced a whole number of other problems. Then in the 60s, there was a film that came out. It's called Harvest the Shame. I put it on the individuals who were U.S. citizens living in the U.S. who did not have jobs. And then they worked in agriculture mostly, and they would travel from wherever they lived, and they would leave to get an income, but when they came back just as broke as they were. So it wasn't even worth it. And when the film came out, it made the U.S. start different
immigration policies, but especially around the fortification, the strengthening of border control on the U.S.-Mexico border and immigration policies around that. So also in 1986, well, before that, as last night, the group last night was talking a little bit about the war on drugs and how that affected criminal justice policy in the U.S., but it also had a big impact on immigration policy. It wasn't just the war on drugs, it was also the war on crime was happening in the 1980s. And so there was, these were big, big issues in U.S. politics, national politics, and it created a political climate in which people were very afraid of foreigners. And it was perceived that immigrants especially were contributing to the high crime rates and contributing to drug trafficking. So it created a perception in the country against immigrants. And a lot of prejudice against immigrants and fear of the influx of immigration coming into the country. It was perceived that it was contributing to the trafficking of drugs and the drug trade. So that was used as a big justification.
Children, which assume that there's a lot of conflicts with it. There's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of things happening, and but the good thing is that there are 3 legislations that are put into act by Democrats from New York and California that will help ensure this, that will help unite parents together. One of them is called the Health, Humane Enforcement and Legal Protection for Separate Children Act. The second one is Child Citizen Protection Act, and the third one is Immigration Oversight and Fairness Act. All 3 of them basically give it allows for this unity to happen. It doesn't grant citizenship, but it allows for parents and children to get into contact, and it won't seem like they're just thrown into the foster care system. So that's it.
Living a very historical moment, I think, in the world regarding immigration, since the United States is kind of looked at in terms of a lot of things, right? They are finally, after 25 years, looking at a comprehensive, commonsensical immigration reform. So it's called the Gang of 8, which is 4 senators from the Republican side, 4 Democrat senators, and they brought together, which is a bipartisan effort, brought this legislation in January. So just last week, I believe, it ended its markup period, which is a time where they I want one. You want one?
השם שלה
Фаина.
Her name is Faina.
Фаина.
Faina Ivtichova.
Yi mit Belarus.
University.
Yeah.
מה היא למדה?
Механдес.
Engineer.
Вау. Фанечка, тихо. Я им читаю, все переводим. Так, каха. היא הייתה במלחמה בלנינגרד. אתם מכירים מה היה בלנינגרד? 3 שנים היה בלוקדה, לא היה אוכל, לא היה שום דבר, וגרמנים לא יכולים לקחת את העיר.
Faina was in the Leningrad is St. Petersburg now, the city, and the Germans for 3 years did a siege around the city, and nobody no food, no.
Я тут сказала, что вы были. Я сказала, что вы были снайпером. Вот эта девочка тоже снайпер в армии. Вот это вот. А ей она израильтянка, и она в израильской армии была снайпером. Кен. А
вы должны с Америки приехать, и какой ты, хоть вот такой, ну не ладно, без тебя.
Она не понимает, Я понимаю. Хорошо, я скажу.
Конечно, а как же иначе?
He was a teacher of physics.
Oh my goodness.
And he was, when he was a professor, he was teaching physics. And when he was in the army, he was a technician of ships. And the things that he did, only 50 people out of the whole army, or the whole.
The whole people in the USSR, only 50 people did what he did.
Yeah. It was something about magnets and bombs and something like crazy. He is 87 years old. And take a picture.
Wonderful.
Take a picture.
Yes, good.
Oh, yes.
And we could take a still picture. Photo. My name, I'm Terry. And Alexander. Your name? Alexander.
I guess you have to talk louder.
Terry.
Sylvia.
That's with you, Miriam. She just had to speak.
Lavinia.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take a picture.
Very firm. This is very strong. Wonderful. This is very nice. Masha, אני רוצה להגיד משהו.
Because of his qualification.
He saved many ships because
what he did, what he knew to do.
Because only 50 people know how to do it.
And tell us
what the medals are. What did he get the medals for? Just tell us what he got the medals for.
היא שואלת מה הוא עשה בשביל לקבל את המדליות והעיטורים.
Они спрашивают, за что вы получили эти медали?
Это за боевые заслуги, это юбилей.
זה מזמן מלחמה הוא קיבל כזה, אז זה אחרי מלחמה.
And this is Liron Derry, the
Southern Borough Manager from the municipality of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Hello.
You remember that I told you about it in the mistake later before, and well, he can speak for himself. So. And then okay, hi, my name is Amit, and this is Elinor. Her lady Maya. And she's coming from the project called the Parents Patrol. I will talk about it later, but in a few words, it's like there is a situation here in below that a lot of young teenagers are walking in the nights, and there is a situation that there is a lot of vandalism and teenagers that just walking with no purpose. Okay? It's more complicated than this, but this is the basic lines, and there is a parents patrol that goes in the night and talk with the teenagers and offer them help and conversation.
Nice.
I'm happy to start because
You want to start? Okay. So the question, if you can introduce yourself, that's a good match. If community involvement in general and in the project that you're working on.
I prefer to speak first about the project and then I'll say here. So,
Shalom.
So, Yardeni will be my helper. The project, the background of this project is that in the past few years, I started to think, what if we, the parents, not the parents, like directly the parents of the teenagers that goes in the night and doing troubles. Parents, you know, of babies, citizens of the neighborhood will go. We will go in the neighborhood in 10 o'clock at the night, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the night, and we will go and see those teenagers and talk with them and ask them what.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Eleanor. I'm a mom. I'm working 15 years in the Israeli immigration, and I'm a mother of 3 girls. The reason that I came to the project because I have a teenager at home that started to being a problem to me to communicate with her and to listen to her. I was only listening. I didn't hear her. So this is the reason why I came to the project, because I wanted to be involved with this kid and her friends. I want to see, and I saw a lot of violence around, and I see her friends going around at night and drinking alcohol, and I didn't know how to communicate. So this is the reason that I came to the project. I came to the project because it was for me something to do with my kid, and I woke up to a reality that there's a lot of parents. They are a family. This group that I'm volunteering, it's a very big family. Who knows? I think you were in our meeting. We meet once in a month, and we are crews. Everyone have a crew working out. Sorry. I'm gonna have to pick her up, so I'm sorry that I brought her.
It's okay.
Thank you. I'm still on vacation with her. I couldn't let her. She's the smallest one, and she's my little skeptical about it because you know, they're kids, they don't want the parents to be involved, but this kid's actually waiting for us, and we're giving them lollipops and candies, and the cold night we're giving them hot tea, and sometimes the candies, the meaning of the candy is to take them out a little bit from the alcohol, and they're very high, so sometimes it's bringing them down and they're coming back home, and we know they're safe home. Sometimes there are situations that we need to bring back some kids home that they are very drunk.
We run in the context of our project. We start. Our project, the private open spaces, but I think that the work with Liron open us a lot of other projects and other. Opportunities much more than only the private open space. I just said that the private open space is areas that all around Gilo. It's areas that belong to the people that live next to these areas, but they're open. Everyone can come in, and the people that were with us before. So
It's okay.
I prefer to sit. I responsible on 100,000 people in the southern city of Jerusalem. Half of the population is Arabic that live in the southeast of Jerusalem, and half of the population is a Jewish population that live in the southern neighborhood in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, I don't know from when it started, there was a planning by the plan how to build the building. They build with a private area, like it's inside in a neighborhood. It could be like 100 houses, could build in a private area, like a private neighborhood, small private neighborhood, that is belong to that the same. Even the owner of the land, it belongs to that the people that live there. So it can be 100 people living like 10 buildings, and they have territory big that they are responsible for everything there, for garbage, for a garden, for a parking area, and all the rest. Now the city hall cannot get into that places and to auto clean or to fix some damage that become with the age of the neighborhood or something like this, and all the responsible it's on that people that live there. Gilo neighborhood is like a middle class club. It's people that it's not the expensive neighborhood. It's not the people with like the best work or best education get or something like this. He was like a community lawyer or whatever. Yeah. We all see this. I believe, for my opinion, to take a road and to fix the road is the best. Come, no ask people, don't know nobody. I come, close the road, and fix the road, and it's finished. I don't give details to no one, maybe to the community center, and that's all. I tell them I go on the main road, and that's all. And I never appreciate community work or community organization, like community people like you. Because 5 months to bring, 10 people, that 5 don't go with you and said, no, I don't want. And the other 5 said, I don't trust you in the city hall. And the work of the 5 months to call and to make report every time and to make sure that people do what they have in the report, and they do, and to go alone and to see they do, how they do, and if they do it like we agree. And this you can see only when you have a community organization like the people I am with. And now I appreciate, I know I never get into any private place without a community worker, without people that come before and they do the work. And I tell them, not only once in a second I will talk about the rest, nobody appreciates them in the end. In the end we do stuff, I bring the mayor, I bring the general manager, he said, you're a nice guy, you do right. He don't say, where is Moran? Where is Funded Moran said, we are for Moran, It's Ruti. You don't remember for Moran? I remember, okay. The same thing, I work with Fanta, not all the time they got success. Sometimes, to succeed in community organization, or community work, what I believe, it's lots of work, but you need also a partner from the other side. Sometimes the partner is not there, and if he's there, you have a dream. You want everything will be from gold, and we don't give gold. It's a problem, and sometimes the expectation of them is so high, and so they said, 100% or nothing, and it's not work like this. It never can be like this. Success sometimes 20% and 30%, and it's still success. Because after Moran leave, I believe, after Fanta leave, they still leave some the seeds, the right one. They leave. They have now the contact with me. They know what they want. It's not like they don't know.
No.
Shalom.
Anyway, I have two kind of volunteer in the neighborhood. One is a police patrol that I do around the neighborhood for the security of the people. But the other one that I came to talk about, it starts with a small note in the mailbox that would say, we need people with good hands and a big heart. I knew about my hands, I didn't know about my heart. So I decided to check it. And the name behind the note was Yael, if she's going to talk later. And they needed people to help. She's working as a social worker, student, and she did a project. They have in the community names of people that are, I wouldn't say poor people, but they have, they can afford to have everything that they can want, and they live in a house, and nobody keep their houses in a good shape. So they come to the social work and they give them their problem in the house, And by the list that they write down, we get the paper, and we became a team of 12 people, I think. And we go, couple people, to a house, and we help them to fix the house, if it's electricity, if it's carpet, if it's doors to fix, if it's wires, whatever they need, screen. And when we come to the house, we find that behind the person there is a human being. And there was, for example, there was a lady, she's a Holocaust survivor, and I guess nobody heard the story. We came there for, I think, 10 minutes, and we stayed there for 2 hours. And we heard the story, and we thought that somebody had to hear the story and write it down. So we sent somebody to hear the story of for a life in I think she's from Hungary. So approximately that's what we do. We get lots of joy from the work, and we learn to like the team. We became good people, good friends, and that's approximately what we do. And I think people appreciate it, and we appreciate what we do ourselves.
Yeah.
So, if there's any question that you want to ask.
Is there resistance sometimes? I mean, this is a model of community work that we talk about, neighborhood development. And I just wondered, when you first come, you said there might be skepticism, or do people welcome you, or they say, "What?
Yes,
don't get in my business"?
I will give you a small example. There was lately we did an old lady. She have a leak in their house, and all the wall became black. Like what I'm talking about,
Mold.
Mold. And we called her, and we came, me and another friend of mine, Udi, and we painted the house. Well, there couple walls. We painted the wall, and it became white again. And later on, her daughter called me that she brought the grandchild. He's 5 years old, and he was so in shock, like the house dark and black, and suddenly it's so white. And he said, "Now it's a pleasure to come to grandma's house." He said we should come more often. Like he didn't like to come, and now he's very happy to come. So the daughter called me and say, "It's a pleasure what you did, and we don't stop to talk about that." So that's the payment that you get back.
You want to talk a little bit how you organize?
If you have questions, I guess I could answer. The beginning, I am a student in the social work in the welfare department, and we thought what to do, what kind of project does the welfare needs. And when I talked with the social worker there, they said, well, there are many people here, many old people, all kinds of people that need some house repairs, and we don't know what to do. And we can give them money, but
a little bit. We both focused on kind of the new veteran, because as you probably know, we have the two newest wars are bringing in a different veteran population than has been in the past. So we're talking specifically about the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so one major change that's happened is that it's a much younger veteran population. So before, 10 years ago, the veteran population was older. They were mostly from the Vietnam War. So now the average age of active duty soldiers in 2009, the average age ranged from 25 to 29 years old. So they're relatively young compared to what we were used to.
Women also constitute now the fastest growing segment within the military, and they expect this trend to continue. So right now, women represent about 10% of veterans, and they think that number will triple in the next 20 years. There are a lot of reasons for that. Part of it is very recently, new legislation was passed allowing women to participate in active combat, which is a new thing for the U.S. And I think too, there's a lot of attention on veterans right now, like Ella was saying, because because of these two wars that are winding down, and that there's just this huge influx of veterans who are seeking services now.
Cool. So one thing that's definitely new for the veteran population is the amount and the kinds of disabilities that returning vets are facing. So there's a lot of different reasons. One is IEDs. What are those? Improvised explosive devices. So there's more use of that by the other side. And also because we're, do you guys know what that is? Basically, it's like, you know, as you probably know, college is really expensive in the States. It started in 1944. They began, it's called the GI Bill, and it is money for people returning from combat to, it used to be more for housing, but now it's mostly centered around education. So being able to go back to college and have their tuition paid for. And so the GI Bill has changed since 1944 a bunch of times. They usually correlate to the major wars in the States, so the Korean War, the Vietnam War, things like that. But the most recent one is the post 9/11 GI Bill, and so that's specifically for people that have served in the military after 9/11. And so this GI Bill is supposed to be better than the past ones. It's supposed to be more generous, so giving you a longer time to
The health piece of it, and then also what it's like for women in the military. For the mental health part of it, the military has actually recently adopted a new model for treatment that they call a recovery-oriented model for mental health. And this is following a change in policy that's sort of nationwide. It's still relatively new, but it's a way of looking at mental illness as from a recovery standpoint. So the way that the VA, the Veterans Administration, actually defines this is they say that mental health recovery is a journey of healing and transformation, enabling a person with a mental health problem to live a meaningful life in a community of his or her choice while striving to achieve his or her potential. So it's a really big change from the way that mental illness has been looked at traditionally in the U.S. It's a way to reduce pathology of symptoms and work to
race discrimination in the U.S. according to the census report. It says that in the U.S. right now they think that the Asian population and the white population are harder. They work harder, so they are like more likely to get a job versus like people of color. Also, I'm gonna tie age in with the race discrimination with wages, because it sort of go together. So also in what I found in my research is that white women, and not only that women are being discriminated based on wages by men, so we're making 62 cents per dollar more than a man, but also women of color.
Less than
Huh?
okay.
Oh, you guys are okay. But also, we are also being discriminated against white women and Asian women. So that's like a gap. And sex discrimination. Oh, actually, I want to talk about the maternity discrimination. You guys have really a really amazing policy about like pregnancy. Here in America, we don't get we don't get paid if we go on maternity leave. It depends though, but it depends on your job. It depends on your organization. Yeah, it depends on where you work, and also your job is not always guaranteed that you come back and get the same position. You may come back, but you're not 100% guaranteed that position. Right. So if you're a caseworker like me, like you can
the street right in front of the place where there's a lot of speeding going on, and if there was some way that you can transfer those, that kind of volunteerism or activism, or caring about the center, to maybe having something, the speed bumps that we talked about, in order to slow people down in front of the area of the center.
Oh, interesting. Okay, again, sorry, just for the interest of time. So let's do the open space. Who led that? Public-private space.
רוצה לדבר? Okay, we went to one of the areas. אתה רוצה? Go. טוב, we went to one of the areas. The three of us are working in 3 different areas, and what's special in there is that the buildings are in a circle, and in the middle there's a open public area, open public space. It's open because everyone can walk around and can use the area, and it's private because the responsibility
and what we learned based on what you guys explained is that there is they need to organize in order to them to clean and keep it up, and they having a little bit of challenge having people really taking on, even though there are volunteers that actually say, okay, like us right now, like we didn't want to talk, they're like, fine, I'll do it because nobody else raised their hands. So, but there is not like a commitment for for that particular area we went, but then Mora, she said that her street is a little more advanced and organized, that they actually, because they have to pay for the cleaning, they are now opening a bank account. Is it your area or your area? Sorry, they're opening now a bank account in which they will put some money to pay somebody to take on that role. Yeah, something else.
Okay. Anybody else? Ella?
I like the part about, because we were looking at like a playground play structure thing, and they were talking about how during the Intifada or right after the Intifada, that was it American Jews who decided that they were going to do a really awesome deed and donate this playground to this apartment community, but they didn't really do a lot of research about the impact that would have on the community. And so like they were saying that it's open to the public, but it's privately cleaned. It like invited a lot of public in, but didn't address the fact that it's privately maintained. So I just thought that was an interesting plug for cultural competence and careful where you donate your money. It's not that simple.
No, it isn't.
I like that.
Anybody else want to comment? Yes, Lynn.
Well, I would just be, I think something else really interesting that they did from a community organizing model is organizing committees within the different communities, different apartment complexes and buildings. And even though, I think it was very challenging for them to engage the community members, which I think for all community organizers is a challenge. I think it's a really great model to empower the community members to be a part of this committee. Some of them had elections, and it's a good attempt to create a model that will be sustainable when you leave, to create leadership from within the community.
Great. So let's do the veterans, which I was a part. Yes, Mariam.
Moria.
We
went to see the Russian veterans from the Second World War. They were soldiers in the Russian army who were fighting against the Nazis. And some of them now live in Jerusalem and Israel, some in Gilo. And we went to their houses to tour them. We saw their medals.
Medals.
We
Yeah.
saw all their medals and all their. We spoke about what they did in the army. One was a woman, one was a man. The one was a sniper, very interesting. And then was more in the technician area. And a little bit before we spoke about what the needs are in Israel for the veterans, what they do and what they don't get. We didn't really have a chance officially to talk about what we did this year in Gilo, but it regards the tzarechim, the needs that we saw, like that nobody knows their story, not enough. It's not really told that they're very isolated here because they don't have any family that's left from the war, or they live in Russia and they're very old now and they can't really move from place to place, or they don't get a lot of things from the government, like money-wise, stuff like that. So we got a little picture of what was going on there.
So, any of you who were there want to comment, Lavinia?
I thought it was an incredible experience. They have such a sense of pride about the work that they did. I think that what's so sad is that, like someone mentioned, it's probably not just like a U.S. thing as far as beauty and youth, but I'm sure it's sort of a bit. I'll go out there and say it's maybe an international thing, in that they were just so happy to know that someone wanted to hear their story. And they were so proud. They came out in these, and the woman wore her jacket with all her medals and took pictures with us and wanted to feed us and have us stay there a little longer. The man came out in his full suit with his brown shoes on and the medals that he got years ago and the more recent medals that he received. Both of them received like the highest medals that you could receive. But it was just great to be able to connect with another individual and to hear their story and to know that they were so appreciative that someone was willing to listen.
And they came from part of, they came in the wave of when all the former Soviet Union folks came. And the sad part, of course, is that for varying degrees, after they contributed to us being here today by Russian army defeating the German army, and they were a big part of that, and there were many Jews. They were then discriminated against as Jews in Russia after the war. So ultimately they wound up, many of them, and even if they weren't, we heard overtly discriminated against. There was so much anti-Semitism. When they opened the borders, thousands, millions, left the Soviet Union. Either of you want to say something more? Sylvia or...
I just wanted to say that I was amazed by their resilience and how strong-willed they were. And I became a little emotional behind it, but I'm happy that we went to this with them.
Great. Yes, Lynn, last thing.
The other thing is there was a woman there who was a volunteer director of the Senior Community Center, and her father,
it's hard. So we did a tour, we showed them a little bit about the building, about the separation and the difference between this place, between this neighborhood to the rest of Gilo and to the rest of Jerusalem. And we spoke about the organization that we work for and what they do there. And we talked about a little bit about conflict of interest in the work. And conflict of interest between our job to serve the residents and our job in front of the organization we work for. So,
Great. Who went? Anybody want to comment?
I just thought it was very interesting because housing is a very big issue, especially in my agency. So a point that Lizzie made while we were on a tour that really was really interesting was how their public housing is privately owned, and our public housing is run by the city. So it was just, I found that so interesting. It was just to see the comparative of what public housing is like in New York and what it's like up here.
Anybody else? Last comments from the group? Lizzie?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, first of all. It was a really great tour and really informative. And also, it was just great to hear just very basic social work talk, but very necessary talk about building trust among community members. So among the people within the community and then also amongst the organizations working there, and just how essential that is to actually getting anything done.
So we're now on the kibbutz, Mishmar Hamek, and we're meeting with Michelle Shammai, our friend and professor from Haifa. And I am now going to photograph everybody together. So everybody could say hello to the camera. We don't always do this. And I actually can zoom in, and I see Alana very well, and I see Nick. Are you the last one? Okay, good. We have a good image of everybody here. And this is Michelle Shammai. Yeah, we can do me later. Okay.
Was in fact a Jewish invention. And I said in Jewish invention and not Israeli invention because it started about 105 years ago, before Israel was an independent state. It was still called Palestine, and it was under the British mandate. It was a British colony. And the Jews, the pioneers that came from Europe, from socialist environment, and the socialist ideas that many of the young Jews in Europe was attracted to at the end of the 19th century. They decided to build a socialist communities in Israel. Now, it wasn't only an ideology. Diaspora corner. It was called the Diaspora Corner because when it was built, the word Holocaust, in referring to what happened to the Jews in the Second World War, wasn't yet in use. So we will enter, and I'll tell you something about it. As part of the socialist Jewish organization that organized Mered, rebellion in the ghetto. And she said, can you move for a minute? Israel is getting lost in front of my eyes. I'm opening my hands, but it's too short for save it. Please save. And these were quite, they were the avant-garde from Warsaw in Poland, and it was okay for them to accept her and remember and later live part of the year in the United States and part of the year here, and she was living in this small hut without toilet and got a very good treatment, and then he or she went back home. When our condition...
This is the elderly home on the kibbutz. We're getting a tour.
And then we started to have older people, and those people that cannot take care for themselves and need 24 hours.
He works with a program that's also a municipal program, belongs to the city of Acre, which deals with mediation and conflict resolution. Okay? And I thought it would be of interest to you to see a small corner of the city and see a slice, a microcosm of what life is about in the city, the challenges, the problems. And we're sitting in quite famous neighborhood that they will talk about. And we're here for half an hour. More? As you please.
רינה צריכה ללכת, אז אולי she need to go.
Ladies first.
But
But dogs before, no? No, just kidding.
First, I will start in English.
אני אציג את עצמי, צופים.
כן, אבל אנחנו נתחיל, אני אסביר כמה מילים.
רגע, לפני, אני רוצה להגיד. First of all, I don't want to compare it to Harlem, you know, you're from the States, the Bronx, I don't know where exactly, but here we got everything. Like we got the crime, we got the drugs, we got the violence, we got the broken families, everything. And we got also the challenge, it's not like a challenge like in the States between the blacks, you know, and the white. We got here the challenge between Arab and Jews, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like we the same color, but you're something different. And I try to build a bridge between these two people, nations, nationalities, because and the first step to build something, a legacy, I believe it's the language. So
Different, you know, totally different. We are what we are, but we can change our destiny. We can change our present. So it's to start to believe, to make the people believe in this. And it's very tough work because you have to meet, you know, when I started is to go building after building and make, you know, floor after floor and meet. I can say, I will give one example, and then we will continue with the lady or questions or Rina or whatever. A year ago we had a very difficult security situation in the neighborhood. We had fire, Fire?
The city being written about overseas. And how does it happen? Because people have developed this particular ethnocraft.
So that's the term you're using, ethnocraft.
Say, hey, Wasn't that woman Jewish? Wasn't that motorcycle Arabic? Wow. We have to, you know, revenge this. So the importance is for people to rise and other funders build housing for them, alternative housing. So today the population is entirely Arab. And through the years, the housing has become extremely neglected. And you remember that people came into this housing not as old as...
We're in the old city of Akko, talking with a community activist in the Tiran Center.
בשנת, לפני שנת 48, עברית עכשיו, גם עברית? כן, לפני 48 היה בערך 15,000 בתוך העיר.
So we are starting the climb. Here's our folks, some of that.
I thought that was the climb.
We are on Masada.
Yes.
Early morning.
Yeah. More or less. And Masada, I think if you want an introduction, Masada is a crazy place. A crazy place, or the craziest place, I don't know, in the lowest place on earth. Why crazy? Crazy, first of all, for the environment. Okay? So it's the lowest place on earth. It's very warm. Right now we feel it's very nice, but it's before 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay? At noon, the average temperature here at noon is a little bit more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's June, July.
And we've started to climb Masada with the group. Everybody say hello. Hey. Gary, hello. And everybody wave to the camera.
Tired?
Tired much. Yes.
Okay. I bet you're not so tired. Okay. Everybody's taking a little break, and then we're going to start the tour of Masada. Okay, yay, hello. Yay. Sylvia, turn around.
Turn around.
Hello.
Is that the original glass? Oh no, it's under the glass.
No, I don't think they had glass that looked like that way. We were here for my niece's bat mitzvah in 1990.
I was here in 2000, so I was here more recently. I've changed.
Someone asked here, did King Herod ever come here? Well, we don't know. He definitely didn't run to Masada, didn't flee to Masada. Maybe he came for a visit, we don't know. But if, just in case he had to flee to Masada in the middle of the rebellion against him, he knows he has the wine that he likes from his specific vineyard in Italy. This is how crazy the guy is. Okay? After it, you'll see the bath. At a certain point, 66, I told you the revolt broke out. 67, they said, oh, you people of Jerusalem, you're too moderate. How can a revolt succeed with guys like you? And they decided to abandon Jerusalem. And they decided to go and live in a fortress where they can have their own life as they want. And these are the ones who came to Masada. So very nice people, okay, nice group of people, came with their families, with their wives, with their children, to live as a community.
It's not going to be a great picture.
What is it? I want it.
There must be a name, but they're probably all in Hebrew. Smells like a skunk.
I love that.
Probably in the rat family. Could be.
I like animals generally.
So we are now walking in the Engedi Oasis. We're taking a hike to the David's Waterfalls. Can't tell. You see a red light? The red light on? Now, it should be on, a red light? I think.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Beautiful waterfalls.
And I've been walking through the desert for 4 years.
Okay.
Thank you. Everybody come. All right.
I want one on your phone, actually, okay? Well, here, see if you like them.
Leadership.
Okay. Good. I'll get you. Okay. Hello, Asia. Turn around. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hi. All the way up. Look at that waterfall. Woo! Hello, everybody. So many of the group is in the waterfall.
Come on, Jerry.
Diana, I'll take a picture. You take a picture of me, taking a picture of you. Number 5 minutes. Folks, 5 minutes. 5 minutes so we can go to the Dead Sea. Because we want to go to the Dead Sea. 5 minutes so you can go to the Dead Sea. Yeah. Hi, Moshe. Okay, folks. You want to go to the Dead Sea. You don't want to miss the Dead Sea. We don't want to miss the Dead Sea. Okay. Hey, folks, you don't want to miss the Dead Sea. Come on, that's the experience. You don't want to miss the Dead Sea. Moshe? Moshe! Moshe! I don't want them to miss the Dead Sea, so. Okay, good. Did not want to wet my shoes. Well, I have to say, you all look like you're having fun.
Yeah, that water felt great. Oh.
Not too cold, right?
No, I mean, at first when you go in, you feel it's a little chilly, but your body gets acclimated very quickly.
It's hot, these bars.
Then it feels fresh.
I just got bitten.
Oh, by a bee?
Mosquito, I think. Or something. No way Sylvia or Kim could have done this.
Oh, I know. I didn't think it was going to be like hilly.
I remember it was rocky and not very steady ground. It wasn't so much the hills I remember, but I know, I had to hold on to people, like just to hold my balance a little bit. Actually, it's much easier walking up and down.
Yeah, I think I'm going to dry off pretty quick.
You will. You have another shirt though? You didn't want?
I have the little zip thing that can go there. I didn't think I was going to get all the way into the water.
Well, you are in the Dead Sea. You can keep this on for the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to change and then change again. Yeah, it's a 2 minutes from here. So we won't put the air conditioner on the bus. Love the nature. Trails for fit hikers, you see that? A trail for fit hikers only. What does it say? In order to plan
the remainder of your stay in the reserve. Please note
they give you the time. If you go into the cave, it's free.
Oh, do not extend after 1:30.
Yeah, they're giving, don't start. Right, so you won't get back in time. So they want to stay overnight here. It's not the worst thing in the world. I wonder if they actually count people. I still know if we went through a turnstile. So they know exactly how many people came in, exactly how many people came out.
That would be good.
Did you ever climb up there? No. It's a long hike. You have to be fit. You see that side? Fit.
For fit hikers only. Definitely not me.
Well, I don't want people to miss the Dead Sea because that's a real experience. This is an experience too, though. I want to have some videos of you in the Dead Sea. Ella, wait, let me just grab your hand. Let me grab your hand for just a little support. Just for balance. Thank you. This way. Whoops, oh, you're here. I thought you were in front of me. I'm leading the way?
You are.
Okay. As long as I can have a banister, I feel good. God, did he say a climb?
Yeah. I thought it was level path and a little bit of stuff.
I remember it not being quite this way, but you know, your memory changes. Ah. Whew. My mouth is so dry. I think it's all the dust and the dirt. Okay. Now which way? You think we're going down this way? Or is it this way? There's Russia. Okay, let them go through. Hi. Hi. You all look like you had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We did, thank you.
I think Masada helps make that even more refreshing.
Yeah. Oh, this is tough.
Do you want me to go down first and give you a hand?
I think if you hold the camera. No, it's okay. As long as I have a railing, I'm fine. This is where it's slippery because it's wet. slippery, right? Boy, a lot of exercise today, huh? Beautiful, huh? Yeah.
150 years ago, they were nicer to their water, I guess.
Ooh, hold on. Very slippery. Whoops, I need this, Nick. Are you better with one hand? I need two hands.
This one?
Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
You got it, girl. Two hands. Just do it on your bottom.
Only because I don't trust myself.
Let me just take it.
Okay.
Oh, I love this.
Just the way we came?
Professor, are you going to go into the best sea?
Me, not this time. Because it's very burns my... We went this way?
I think there are different paths going back, but it's a loop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, he's still there?
He's still there.
Yeah, he's behind Annika.
I was feeling bad about not going to the gym this morning, but I was feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah. I'm quite amazed at myself and how my legs are not bringing up.
Well, you're 10K.
Well,
I think
because of hills. It's the hills that I do.
So how often do you work out? You're in such good shape.
I do 3 times a week. Sometimes it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, like that.
Have you always, or have you ever?
No, when I was 40. Yeah, after I had my son Josh, my second son, after I gave birth to him, I was 170 pounds.
Wow.
After I gave birth to him.
Oh, are we going this? Where are we going?
Let's
See,
go
we're going
down
out.
this one, the easy one. That's where the paths are.
To go up?
We're going down.
Oh, I thought we were going there.
No, that's the way. That's the up path.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
This is the way we came.
Yeah, this way. Up.
Yeah, we came that way.
I'm almost. You still have.
Still have some ways to go.
Try
Well, we're only going a few blocks. It's only going to be 5 minutes.
And if you squeeze them and then leave them out in the sun, they'll be dry by the time we're done.
Okay. And we're only, you can say it's close to that too, because it's only 2 minutes. Only 5 minutes. Yeah, but 5 minutes is into my swimsuit. I was thinking, yeah, you're not going to go in. You can go to a, there's a change room at the beach. A communal change room for women. And we don't have to put the glass the air conditioner so that we get chilled. That's what I hate. You know, being hot and going into air conditioning out.
Open it.
I think it's recording.
It couldn't. You have to press the record button.
No, it's definitely recording.
Why are you doing it? Imagine.
Hello. Kim. Going down the Dead Sea. We are now on the Dead Sea. You can see all the people floating. Nobody can drown. And there's the group at the other end. See if I could zoom in on them. Okay, we are beginning a trip in the Jerusalem forest, our last day. Would you like to say hello? Shivani, Anna-Kay. Let's see who's here. A few people have left us already. Here's Sylvia.
Hi.
Kim, Livonia, Ella.
Paris. I came all the way on a boat when I was 7 years old from South Africa.
We met somebody else, Sydney. You know Sydney, Professor Engelberg from Hebrew University?
No.
He's from South Africa.
Oh, he probably knows about me. Or not about me,
Yes.
about my family. My father's family was a very Zionist family, and my grandfather, the judge, Herbstein, is well known in the South African Jewish community. He was the first Jewish judge in South Africa, and then he came to Israel as a Zionist, and then my aunt came here. And
Mushrooms.
yes, I don't know my way around mushrooms. I'm very worried that if I pick a mushroom, I'll pick a poisonous mushroom. But the Russians probably went out into the forest there. There's lots of water. The mushrooms come out immediately after rain. And they pick mushrooms. So you'll see families, Russian families coming out after rain. They've got buckets. And somehow they manage to find the mushrooms, the right mushrooms, and it's okay. And it's always, I'm always jealous because I buy my mushrooms in the supermarket. What's better than picking mushrooms out from the tree? And that's okay. So that's one of the things you wanted me to talk about.
We're on the kibbutz. This is still part of the kibbutz, Ronnie? This is the kibbutz Zuba?
The kibbutz is there. Yeah.
And what is this? Just natural land? Public
this
land?
belongs to the kibbutz. This land belongs to the kibbutz.
But it's open for the public.
Yeah, and there's also all the
Josh
society.
stayed. Josh was on. This is his kibbutz.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah, wow.
Kibbutz Zuba.
Yeah, you're right.
Where he got kicked off.
You're right, yeah, I remember. Sure.
Hello, everybody. Wave hello. So I have to tell you a personal
Me and at the kibbutz, you know that we went. It was
Which kibbutz?
Michal Shemai.
In the north.
Mishmar Hamek. Very, very
old, one of the first kibbutz.
And
yeah.
still very socialist, but also they have good means.
אתה מקיבוץ? כן. יופי.
Oh, he's out.
אמרתי שנגיע ואמרו לי תבוא מזאת.
אני לא יודע, קיבוץ זה הרבה, אני לא יודע.
Okay,
let's
Amnon is from the kibbutz, and he will explain to us where we are now and what's the water system here all about. Okay.
Now? You want to do it now? We're going to
Yeah,
read?
let's do it. Okay. My English is not so good, but I will mean that you understand me. The name of Ain is spring of Tzuba. Tzuba, starting from the Bible, from Samuel 2nd, 23, about one of the 30 heroes of King David was Yigal ben Natan. He came from Tzuba. All the area here around was a group from heroes that they have in the army of King David. And King David gives they to living here, the area. But it's not meaning that nobody have been here before they. Of course, maybe the Yebusi or another people are living here. That spring, the meaning is life of people. The rain fell down, he go between the rocks, the soil, and then he came to a clay that don't give the water go down, and then the water looking of the way to get out. So in the lowest place, the water go out from the ground. And then we want more water. So we're digging a hole to make the water easier to go out. This tunnel here, it's about 43 meters. The starting here, or the beginning, is from the times of the first temple, the times of King Solomon. But now the tunnel here is from the time of King Herod.
Yeah, we heard. We went to
400 before. And they was opening here the ground. They broken the stones. They building the roof. They take back the soil, the ground up, and that's the system of the water. The tunnel came till the aquifer of the water here when it's the hot times, so when it's minimum, and then give us the answer that we have here water during all the year. So the village here on the mountain have been what we know from the times of when General Allenby conquered the country from the Ottomans. It's meaning
the British.
Yes. 1919. And then people, 5 families, come from Jordan, from Karak, the area of Karak, and they living here. They take the stones, you know, the stones here. It's the most expensive building. It's like money. So it was easier. It's having walls. So they take the stones. They have only to make 3 or 2 walls, and they have a home and place to live in there. What we know also, in the 1100 AD, the Crusaders, when they conquered the country, one of the Crusaders' bench was the Templars. They have building a castle on the top of the mountain. His name was Belmont, the beautiful mount.
Here? Here?
Yeah, the chateau on the top, the fortress. And then it had been sold to another branch of the Crusaders, to the Hospitalaries, that became to be the most military branch of the Crusaders. They make from here a great castle, and they have give he have been the command of another 4 castles, in Abu Ghosh, in Akbabela, here in the castle, and in Moza. The system has been that they have connection eyes with the other forces, and when somebody have problems, they come help each other. So, with a little army, they have the much intelligence, because every castle sitting of a spring. So the migration was coming from Jaffa port to Jerusalem and back, need water, they have stay there, they speak around, and then they have the all intelligence that they have need to do. After it, the Sheikh of Abu Ghosh have sitting in this castle. In 1835, Muhammad Ali have sitting in Egypt, and he conquered Israel country. And he have understanding that it's problem to steal from the people who coming to Jerusalem, and he give an order that don't steal the crusaders that coming to Jerusalem. But the Sheikh from Abu Ghosh have thought, he living there and I living here, my father, my grandfather make the same and I will make it. But Muhammad Ali tried to conquer Damascus, and he sent a great army to here. He don't conquer Damascus, but he destroy here the mutiny of between the Arabs had been a mutiny. And then, we don't forget Abu Ghosh, and he conquered here, and the family of the Sheikh need to destroy this castle, and after it, they will dying here. And that's the story of this place.
A lot of fighting, right? That's what I was talking about, right? Groups fighting other groups to take over the land and the water.
All around the world.
It's possible to go down?
Yes, it's possible. I will speak
Not quite. It's a
You need
shoes without
if you go without shoes, you go to a small tunnel, but then you don't need to bathe. That's something in the beginning. After it, you can stand and look around.
But what if people don't want to get wet? If you don't want to get wet?
The water is 10 centimeters high. So it's going a channel, and then you have two soldiers on the side. You can go on the soldier side. You don't
but should we take off our shoes?
What? The tunnel, and then you come to a hole. That hole,
water tunnel,
his north wall is to hold that the mud don't coming to this tunnel. It's only the water coming. So it's one room from west to east, and one room from north to south.
So who built
the water? The first gate to go down, it's here on the top. We have closed it because it's danger. It's better to go up. So it has been open here.
So who built these tunnels? When were they built?
The time of Herod, King Herod.
So 2,000 years ago.
It's the same.
We heard about his being able to use water, right?
It's the same system like in Masada. The water here don't go to this pool. It's have pool we have built. It has been go in a tunnel on the road to
what engineering feats?
To a hole in the wall there. So it's closed. And then they have need how they need water. It's not in the open pool. So that system would go with the water in Masada. So we know everything about this from King Herod. Another question.
So if we...
I speak with him to give you more insight.
Okay, so people want to go? תודה רבה.
גם לי חישבתי.
יופי.
תודה, thank you. So, just Ruthie, have you been here before in the channel?
When I was about this big.
Yeah?
Years and years and years I haven't walked through it.
So,
But Ronnie hasn't walked through it ever.
so the question is, if people don't want to walk through, are we going to just take off our shoes or what?
You can't take your shoes, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
If you leave your shoes on, you have to bend down to get through the tunnel.
Part of it, only part.
And but if you want to take your shoes, you can walk through water that's risky.
Oh, I see. And if somebody doesn't want to go, we're staying here because we're coming back here.
I'm staying here with the dog. Ronnie's going with you.
Okay, so if people want to stay with Ruthie and not see the tunnels, they can.
Ronnie and Tonji.
And Ronnie, Ruth and Tonji.
There's another
No,
guy.
it's right here.
There's another guy that's doing the food. So he's talking to him to take.
So we can take
Oh, yeah. You could take your shoes off or leave them. If
I'm going with my shoes.
the worst that will happen is they'll just get a little wet on the bottom. But if you don't want to, you could take them off.
Yeah, and if nice and cool, that I can promise you.
Cold water.
It's one way.
I'm leaving my bags. You can leave your bags with Ruthie.
Bags with me.
Thank you.
You're going to what?
You'll cool down more if you take your... It's a cake. It's a yeast cake.
Babka. We call it babka, right?
Babka.
It's like a babka.
Say bars.
Panera bread.
Yeah, Panera.
In at Say bars. Have you been to
In New York.
I'm sure.
Thank
Right.
you.
It's a very typical Jewish
Cake.
cake.
Very garbage.
so
So I don't need
We'll put it all together.
בתוך התיק, אתה תביא לי את התיק גם. יש שם.
So we're taking off our shoes now.
Yeah, take your shoes off now. Leave me your shoes.
If you want.
Just stick that in my bag, one of the plastic bags there.
Let's do it.
Stay behind, you'll come. I'm going to
stuck in
go.
the water.
But if those who are sitting with Ruthie and staying,
That's fine.
And you're interested in how she runs social services, obviously you have something to
Or you can talk to me about other things in life also. It's not that Terry will test me afterwards.
But also they're also interested in why families come from other Jewish families come to Israel. You know, they've been very interested in that history a lot.
Great.
Okay. So who's going?
רוני? good. רק תגיד לו שזה עולה כסף. You can leave it here.
I'm going to leave my phone here.
And we could take the camera, right?
Yes.
I don't know. We go through.
What?
תני לי 20 שקל שלך.
No problem.
No, you're comfortable. I don't think she's going to pick up anything about industrial social work.
Yeah, no, that's right. Okay. I'll take some money just in case.
Expensive.
Yeah, how many are we? How many people are going? Count? Can somebody count for me?
That's all right. 8. Going to Ella, Shivani, and Kim. You guys are staying, right? No, I'm going. You're going or not?
Okay. Good. Very good. That includes me?
No.
Okay. That's good.
Ronnie, you better take your shoes off. דוגמה אישית. Everybody's taking their shoes off.
So if everybody do it,
You do it, yes.
I have to stay with my shoes. I don't like to be
Okay.
I'm not good at that. I'm more classes. I'm not cultural.
So?
Okay, we're ready.
And I like to
Then
be
get going.
Let's go, Ronnie. Let's go.
It's with the guy with the... לא בשביל זה, זה עם הכחול.
Okay, Ronnie, come.
He's going to take his shoes off. In spite of everything. You going?
In spite of his identity politics.
Yes. Exactly.
Is it okay to take a camera?
Yes, there's nothing you can't.
You'll take our pictures.
The dog will probably go crazy. He won't know what to do. Stay with me or go with Ronnie.
תשימי לו חגורה באמת, שלא יש לו.
מה?
דונג'י, בוא.
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 נו, בוא.
fun, huh? But so many people coming out. I mean, it's quite a narrow way.
Yeah, you want to go to sleep?
Then you go up.
I don't know
it's like
if
in
it's gonna make me
you have to wait maybe hours.
לא, אתה רוצה לשתות? בוא לשתות. בוא. בוא. You took a shoes off?
אבל אני אגיד את זה שם.
למה?
כי יש לי קציר.
ומה עם כל השאר שהורידו פה את הנעליים, רוני, באמת? You are a thirsty dog. It's not a problem.
Thank you for staying with our stuff.
The three of us were protected with our bodies, right? And the dog.
Oh, even that late? Alright, so I'll let you know.
Tanji.
What time's that?
Tanji, in Tet. Tet Vav Nun. כן. הוא מסתכל שאבא שלו נעלם לו. נכון?
Okay. It's full for Carmel, right? Okay, alright, I'll do that and I'll be in touch. Are you okay? How are you doing? You're not too tired? How was the upstairs? Was there air conditioning? Okay, alright. Alright, honey, love you. I'll see you soon. I need to buy a bus ticket ahead of time, or I just can go to the station.
For what?
To go to Haifa.
No problem.
You don't think it'll be sold out?
No. So you're staying on?
Yeah, my family's in Haifa, so I'm meeting my brother and my dad there.
How long have you been in Haifa? You born in Haifa?
No, I was born in Tel Aviv, but I moved when I was 3. To America.
To where in America?
Boston. Go to Boston. So,
and what, your family came back here, or part of your family came back?
So my dad's family is here. He grew up in Israel, in Haifa, and then when he had me and my brother, him and my mom, they moved to Boston.
And your mother's also ex-Israeli?
No, she's American. She's from Boston. But she was here to go to medical school.
I see. And she wanted to go back home?
I think also because she didn't speak Hebrew well enough to do a residency here. So we went back for that, and then we always talked about moving back here, and it just didn't happen. So, yeah, my brother and my dad just got in on yesterday. So we're going to be together for 2 weeks. My grandparents and my husband, uncles, and cousins.
Where do they live in Haifa?
My grandparents live in Ahuza.
Oh, that's where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you know my dad.
What's your dad's name?
Jonathan or Jonathan Brandon. And there's Deborah, Rachel, and Simon.
Not sure.
How
old is he? When was he born?
My dad is 55.
How old?
55. And then,
so am I.
Oh, really?
Do you know what school he went to?
I want to say Roni Hay, but I might have made that up.
Why would you make something like that up?
I don't know, because maybe I'm mixing it up with someone else.
Because Roni Hay was one of the schools.
Yeah.
I went to the Ra'ali. As far as social groups were concerned, the Ra'ali and Chugim were together. Roni Hay was even a...
Wait, so your parents you're South African?
Yes.
So they're English?
No, South African.
No, I'm saying my grandparents are English.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess you would know.
Maybe. What's your grandparents' name?
Nomi and David. And my grandfather and my uncle both work at the Technion.
You know, I'm not sure. It's got this fuzzy edge too.
Yeah.
Do I or don't know or don't I?
I'm back.
But yes, it looked too.
Too skinny. Just no, it's just after everything yesterday, I just don't have the energy.
Okay.
It was just way too much yesterday. I just can't. I just can't. I don't have any more.
That's fine. You did the major things.
Don't have any more.
Because my father was a professor at the Technion
In
also.
engineering?
In chemistry.
See, my grandfather is in engineering. And my uncle, I forget, I think he's also in engineering, but I couldn't remember.
But my father was vice president. I'm sure, you know.
So my grandfather would know him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He retired. He supposedly retired. I don't know if he still was teaching the last time I was here 3 years ago.
No, he's a generation younger than my father. My father passed away 2 years ago, but you know, if he's been in the Technion as a student and then just moved up, then he probably would know about my father.
Yeah. What's his name?
His name was Frank Herbstein.
Frank
Herbstein.
I'll ask him tonight.
Might turn out to be a small world.
Yeah.
And what, you've got an older brother or younger brother?
Younger brother. And I have a half sister from my dad who's Israeli, but she lives in Tel Aviv. She grew up with her mom now. So she's always
And did you come back over the years to visit?
Yeah, all the time.
And did your brother have any issues with the army?
No, we just told them we live here in America and they came here. They just do the thing where they tell you that you can only come here for 1 year to live consecutively, and then after that you can be here 4 months at a time, and then you have to go back for 3 months, and so you just can't be permanent resident. But I think once you turn, for me,
24 something
yeah, once
like
I
that.
turn 26, it doesn't matter, or if I got married. And for my brother, I forget the age, but he's never gonna live here, so it doesn't matter.
Because it's, you know, it's a confusing issue, because why, if you grow up in a different country, there's some kids that love to come back here.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of friends that came back to join the army, even if they weren't even born here. A bunch of my brother's friends, and he might join the American army, so I'd rather, I don't know actually what I would.
Why join the army at all?
I know.
How old is he?
He's 22 now. He just graduated, so he's looking for work, and he wants to be in. We took very different paths. He wants to be.
My son's 22 also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to be in like the CIA or the FBI, and so then to get into that, now it's hard if you're not a veteran.
La 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 la. Zet allemaal vrienden. Zet altijd niet tot probleem. I see, and you went into the social areas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he might join. Then we'll really be opposite.
You don't like the police?
No, not really.
Uh-huh.
They're very corrupt.
You haven't had a good experience with them, huh?
Well, just like from my clients' perspective, I feel like at least in New York, they police young people. They really, it's a really hard way to grow up, I think, when you only see police as people that are
attack you and
and now the school system is the public school system in New York is very police, and even not just the metal detectors, but like after school lets out, there's police out there.
So you can't get into the schools?
You can't get really in and out. There's just like a lot of crazy stuff right now with the public schools in New York. I mean, I guess it's been like that for
And what did you go to? Public school? Private
No,
school?
I didn't grow up. I grew up outside of Boston, so I went to private school. I went to Jewish school through middle school, and then I went to like an art school for high school.
Mm-hmm.
My brother went to public school, but he went to like, we lived in a nice area, so the school wasn't as police.
Mm-hmm.
It's different depending on where you live.
Are there lots of homeless youngsters?
In New York? Yeah, I mean there's a big contingent of I don't know about the numbers, but the biggest homeless youth population is LGBTQ. So like
What's that?
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
Yes, that's the biggest.
Yeah, because I mean mostly it's people who come out to their families and then get
thrown out of their homes.
So that's like the big runaway population. Because mostly if you're, I don't know I wonder what the numbers then would be for, because the thing is if you're in foster care, even if you age out, if you get the right services, there's a lot of housing services. And if you're younger, either you're in a family shelter or you're
Younger people get picked off the streets and taken to family
with their
shelter.
families, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of issues.
I was in Berlin last. Donji! John, yalla. Last week, and we, as a tourist, I didn't come for this kind of study trip that you. I was looking at the. Left. They showed us halfway house. Sanjay! Shada don't care, but if he's going to look for Ronnie, he's concerned about where his father's gone, as you can see. They showed us a house. They have a lot of squatting in Berlin because housing went up very, very high, and landlords were responsible for keeping the old homes up. And even though there was a war during the Second World War and houses were bombed, it wasn't the municipality or the government's responsibility to fix the homes. It was the landlord's responsibility to fix the homes. And it became a very, very expensive issue, and you had homes for preservation, so you not only had to fix the home so it worked, you had to fix it in a certain way. And landlords tend to just leave and not take care of the homes, and they had a lot of homes like that in West Berlin. East Berlin's a different story because it was communist, and they just the building was different. But the result was that there's lots of squatting there, and the squatters come in, move into the apartments, but put aside payment for rent so they can't be thrown out. It's a very interesting system that works there. But they showed us a house for youth under 18 who get thrown out of their homes by their parents because they're coming out as gay or lesbian or trans, or whole gambit of it. And they had set up this home in one of the neighborhoods, and the whole street, which is a gay neighborhood, had adopted this home. And so the restaurants, lots of very nice restaurants and bars, so all the leftovers are transferred to the home, and they have, I don't know what you call it, they have a system there where they have a shop where you don't, it's a barter shop, you don't use money, and it's also lots of bartering going on there to sustain this home. And it's become a center for the young lesbians and gay kids, so they don't walk around on the streets. And the streets in Berlin are very dangerous. There are lots of crazies out there. Lots of crazies. Not as a tourist, but they've got a law there that even as a tourist, I can take your picture, but I can't take a picture of anybody under the age of 18. Only if their families are. Because they're very scared of sexual abuse of kids. And so you get arrested for taking pictures of people you don't know, of kids you don't know.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a very interesting city, very vibrant
I had a
city.
bunch of like friends of friends who were in the city who stayed with us from Berlin. They loved it though.
It's a fascinating
Yeah.
city.
They were there for school, I think. Wait, so what does your son do? He's the one who's working at the hospital.
Yes, my son's in computers. He's a natural. I don't understand anything about computers. And he works at Hadassah, which is the big hospital. He started doing his first degree in computers and to become more serious next year.
Wait, so he didn't go to the army?
You didn't go to, you've got Tonji! Bah! National service has grown a lot in Israel. It's a procedure that you have to go through. The natural thing for young, especially young men. Young women can declare that. What? The young woman can declare that they are religious. But for young men, you see more and more young men going into national service that are not.
I wonder why I have a friend in Jerusalem who, he didn't go to the army, but he didn't do any physics. I don't know how he got out of, like, he said that he went to, like, on his like, mental examination, he just said that he couldn't do it.
That he couldn't do it, that he had adjustment problems.
Yeah, something, like, they were going to put him in like, a combat unit. It's very, he's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I think that there's truth to some of what he says, but he was saying that, so he was on track to be in intelligence, and then all of a sudden they were like, never mind, like a week before he was supposed to go for something, I don't remember what.
And he got very disappointed and he didn't want to go into the army.
Well, but so then he was thinking that it had to do with the fact that his mom was dating an Arab at the time or something. I don't know if that's true, but...
It could be.
Yeah.
Because then he wouldn't have gotten past the security checks.
Yeah. So then they were just going to put him as like a basic combat soldier, and he was trying, and then he basically just decided, he was like, why am I trying so hard to join the army at all?
It's very difficult here if you, mixed families, Jews and Arabs. Also the identity issues are very difficult.
And it's right at the time when you're trying to figure a lot of that stuff out.
Well, you're trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's very, makes it very confusing.
Yeah.
I know a few youngsters like that, and I don't envy them.
Yeah.
Sanji! הוא יחזור, אל תדאג. I'm telling you, you'll come back. But as you can see, he's not very relaxed. Sanj! אתה רוצה לשתות? איפה המקל? תביא מקל. So what is it like for you coming back here?
On the trip or just...
On the trip.
It was really weird. It was kind of hard because my family? We're in Florida. I feel
about an hour from Orlando.
I don't know, it's hard to explain, but
Very nice.
Very nice. The dog's waiting for you there.
It was, that was amazing. Yeah, that was great. Well, it's weird because there's like a dual identity process for me where on the one hand, in America, I'm an American Jew with all that comes with, and in like in New York and at Hunter, thinking about my identity in that way, and then here, being a Jew and being from an Israeli family is a very different set of identities, and dealing with that. So I think that's probably been the most interesting thing of this trip is being in an American group and being an American Jew within that group, but then being in Israel where I have a different social location and trying to negotiate that and all of that with like a socially conscious and a social justice lens, and like what position do I play and what position am I in terms of social justice? You know what I mean?
This is my favorite.
Very
It's summer.
interesting. I'm still thinking about it.
Processing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it was
Very
great.
good. It was good.
It was good. Was it cool?
Yeah, it was cooling.
Something I've never seen before. We'll never see again, probably.
Why? We bring another group.
Unless I come here. Where am I going to go to tunnel?
Next group. Next year.
It was
Ronnie, Sanji was very unhappy with your disappearance.
I registered the course next year.
And also,
Oh, so you've got no choice, huh?
Yeah, I registered, but you have to register because you have to renew your membership.
okay, I will.
What's your plan?
I will talk. We'll figure out
So that was good?
It was a lot of fun. It was good. My feet are really
And cool.
Maybe Monday.
Oh, can I see the picture?
My soul is purified.
Okay. That we usually do at the other springs. This spring I don't think the kibbutz intends for purification of soul.
Okay.
Well,
So
was it a
we
good
got some
idea?
good pictures. Brenda, your camera? You got some pictures? None of them?
No, it didn't come through.
Too dark?
Yeah, it's okay.
No, you'll have to come back, Sarah.
We have to come back.
Yeah, you can do it again. You can do it again.
It's okay.
Once is enough?
So what have you been talking about? A little of everything?
No, we were discussing, I don't know what her name is.
Ella?
Behind you. What's your name?
Ella.
Ella. Ella's experience here.
Different from my 600 here.
Of course. Very. When did you tell that you went for?
Around 12, but we didn't give it back. So maybe we should go. Yeah, I should start that.
I didn't talk to them about occupation.
Do you want to hear just a few minutes about social work, and then we're going back about what occupational social work, working in a corporation is like? I think they would like to
Working in a corporation is great.
The best corporation.
The best corporation in Israel.
Tell what the
I've got a car provided by the corporation so that I can do my work. When my clients have problems, I've got money to support their problems and solve their problems. Nothing better than that, believe
That's why I married her. I told her
That's why I married her.
that she's going to support me because I know that she's a good social worker.
We also
That's
we've
what-
met students who worked on the strike, and the social work is not doing very well financially.
And
here.
social workers aren't doing very well. My daughter made the decision to be a social worker because she has two parents who are social workers who are doing very well. She doesn't believe what the
No,
newspapers
she's a natural social worker. It's not true. She's natural social worker.
And she's in the right
She
field.
loves it. She loves it. I mean,
Everybody loves their job here. We didn't meet. It has
No,
nothing to do
I
with
wasn't being
They love
cynical
it.
about working in a corporation. The history of Israel is that as Ronnie said, it started off as a very socialist approach to society and to people's rights and employees' rights, and the whole idea of tenure. You know what tenure is?
everybody
Our
wants
kids
tenure.
will not know what tenure is. It's something that was obvious, and that you have people who start off at the age of 22 in your corporation, and work through till they leave at the age of 65. Things can happen to people along. Things happen, not can happen. It's people work for 40 years. I'd say that almost everybody goes through my office in the end.
So what kind of problems do you see?
Now, what do I see? I see everything. I see parenting problems. I see work-related problems, problems of relationships. Are you helping me?
Yes.
Good. Accidents, work-related accidents, which we hope to bring down, but which what we do, and I think it's very different in a corporation that has a positive approach towards its employees, is that we try and rehabilitate them so that they can, after they've gone through accidents, and accidents in electricity companies are very unpleasant. You know, it's not nice to be electrified. People can be wounded very badly. I've got a guy whose both hands he will never use again in his life. As he says to me, I had to learn that I can't play basketball with my 7-year-old son because he's got stumps here. He doesn't have hands. But the same guy who went through, it took 4 years to bring him back to work, he now works. We've set up the workplace so that he can do his job. He's not, doesn't work with electricity, he works with a computer, but he earns his living. He's not, and he feels good about himself, and he feels that he's making a positive contribution to himself, to the workplace, to his family. Perhaps one of the things that showed us that he has really come back to himself is that about 4 years after the accident, and a year and a half after he started coming back to work, he had a baby. You have babies when his third baby, and I think it was a celebration of success, that he was no longer this man he was so scared of getting out of the hospital after being 3 months in the hospital, that even going on a weekend vacation was something that was scary for him. And here he's fathering again, which I think is great. So that's work accidents at its extreme, and it's one of the things that I think that we are very proud about doing for our employees. I don't know if it will happen in the future.
No, I mean, it's a resort in Israel. It's not like this in other. This is a factory as it used to be, as it should be.
As it should be. Now, I also deal with relationships between managers and employees and all that kind of relationship issues that come up. We deal with sexual harassment, which is a complex issue, especially when I don't know what the law is like in the States, but in Israel, people who feel they've been sexually harassed have 3 avenues to deal with what they've gone through. They can go to the police, they can go to the courts and file a civil suit, and what we hope to encourage the most is that they've got an avenue within the company. By law, every workplace with 25 employees and more has to have an address within the workplace where they can say, I've been harassed, help me.
Do we have that in the States, your organizations? I don't know if it's by law.
Think so. No.
I don't think so.
But it's not easy to deal with, because if you think about it, we're trying to figure out what's going on, what the real story is. And, real stories depends on which chair you're sitting in, what your perspective is. We're also talking about the harasser being one of the employees, and you have to create a situation where you can do right, make people feel that they have not been wrong, and still allow the company to continue to work. These things make a lot of noise. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, I just have a question. Since you have kind of like an ethical question, since you work for the company and you're also trying to help the employees, do you find yourself sometimes not
Who-
really
like
doing
who's
what
her
the
client.
not really like who's your client, and also
It's a
what is
bit-
the dilemmas you face sometimes when the client is actually right, but it won't be favorable for the company.
That's a very acute question, and it's an issue. I've been working for the company for 26 years. It doesn't get easier. It's something that I find myself dealing with all the time. It also depends on what kind of pressures the company is under, and it changes. When I started working, nobody asked me who my clients were. Now, a few months ago, I got a new manager, and he said, I want a list of your clients. And I said, you want a list of my clients? You employed me so that I would be a social worker. Social workers don't tell, unless they've got permission or there's a special reason, according to the ethical code and the social work law. We've also got a social work law in Israel. I can't give you a list of my clients. It's ethically impossible for me. He said, but I've got a job. I have to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I said to him, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. And it wasn't an easy situation to be in. So it's a problem. I didn't give him the list. At this point, it's in the legal department. But said, you know what? Send it to the legal department. They'll decide what. I knew there was a law. The law is very clear that I'm not allowed to give out names.
Otherwise, you couldn't help anybody.
But you also have a tenure, and you have the support.
I
so
have
it
tenure.
can't frighten you too.
Yes,
That's
but
why
it's
tenure
not
is so
easy. Now
important.
this issue, because companies today, there's more privatization in Israel, and there's more pressure on companies, and the phone company also has a social work department there, and they are going through hell right now with their manager.
It's privatized.
It's privatized, is a free control. He's driving them absolutely crazy over this issue, and it's been going on for a long time. For me, at this point, the company, we send it to the legal department. It will lie there for a few years before they resolve it. My manager feels that he's done what he's supposed to do. I feel that I've done what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not concerned about it. But it is an issue because, that's the black and white part of it. But when you're talking about an employee who lives in his work environment and you want to encourage the surrounding support, how much do you tell, what do you tell, who do you tell, how do you get them involved? The ethical issues are always there. It's not something that I can lay aside. I always have to make sure that things are discussed with the employee. Do we or don't we share information? What information do we share? What happens? What is the issue? What is good for the company? We had an employee who was it's not polite, you don't use personality disorders now, right? The DSM-5 is has disallowed personality disorders, but the guy that I'm talking about was 10 years back, so then you were allowed to talk about the personality disorders, and he didn't do any work, and there's no way to move him. On the other hand, it was absolutely clear that he was unacceptable in his family, so it was very important that he had some place to get up in the morning and go to. Otherwise, he would be thrown out of his family. He was a gambler. He wasn't prepared to do anything to support her. And the question is, how long did we have an obligation to keep him on the job when he was destructive? Or it's not destructive. It depends on who defines what is destructive. There is an issue. But it's the kind of issue that at the time that it was going on, we could have a roundtable discussion about it. The sad thing is that they had cuts and they decided to send him out on pension, and 2.5 years later, he's dead. Because he didn't take care of himself. There's nobody to take care of him. His family was quite happy to not deal with his issues. social work services. And so he had all kinds of medical issues that had to be followed through, and just let himself go.
So just talk a few minutes about, do you create some community programs, prevention, other than just one-to-one work? Or your department?
We also have we're part of all kinds of projects. When I've noticed that there were lots of guys who were divorced, it's about 80% men in the company, 20% women. So we have lots of men who get divorced, divorce is up in all families. It shows off more as a male issue as far as I'm concerned. So we set up groups for divorced men to share and to be guided. We had brought in a guide, social worker, to do the group work with them. It was a fascinating group. And the company provided the finance, which was also very exciting. We're doing a very, very interesting project now of employing people with disabilities in the company. We're taking people who are hard to place people as far as finding work. Hard to place in Israeli terms. People who have 50% disability and above. Israelis like their workers to look good, to be able to do things. It's
hard to find disabled people at a higher
and
rate
we don't have the law
States.
that you have.
But it doesn't make a difference, right? Their unemployment rate among people with disabilities
is much higher.
Is very high, much higher than the average.
Anyway, the company decided that it would start employing people with disabilities. Set up a project. I wouldn't say problem-free project. For one of the, why wouldn't I say that? One of the things is that we're very easy as far as accepting them. They go through lots of tests and interviews, and what's important for us is that there's 50% disability and above. But these people can only work part-time in the company, not full-time, for example. So there is some kind of discrimination going on there, but it's better than not working at all. On the other hand, the Social Security, if they worked full-time, they wouldn't get the Social Security rights, and Social Security in Israel is only part of the story. There are lots of reductions as far as city taxes, all kinds of rights that they get, so that when they lose their Social Security rights, they lose a hell of a lot of more money than just disability pay.
So half-time allows them to keep their disability.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
the
that's
same
how
in the States.
we
In New York, if you work full-time with disability, you lose your Medicaid. And if you lose your Medicaid, then it'll throw off your Social Security. So it's best that they work.
They can work.
Exactly. So that's how we calm our dilemma about should they work full-time or shouldn't they work full-time. I'm not sure that the answer is this, because I think people should choose what they want to lose.
Right.
If you want to be absolutely...
Now they have this program called a Type-In program that they pay into Medicaid and work full-time.
They can work full-time and get a
reduced
insurance.
Instead of losing it all, you pay into it.
Okay.
They're trying to... It's a disincentive to work, though, if you have a disability, because you lose your benefits. So we want to make them incentivized.
So they've changed the law a little bit, and now you can work half-time. In Israel, it used to be that you couldn't work at all. So you really, unless you came from a rich family and were disabled, you didn't find people who were working because they couldn't allow themselves.
We have just a few minutes before we start walking back. You could keep talking.
I was
Kim?
just going to ask, in your role, what kind of support are you offered in terms of professional advancement, in terms of supervision, and in terms of continuing education?
Let's put it this way. First of all, as you understand quite clearly, the electricity company doesn't deal with social work. It deals with electricity.
Yes.
And so I'm a strange animal out there. And so your question is also very on the point. I'm thankful for the fact that they will pay not for supervision. They don't pay for supervision, but they do pay for continuing education. So every year there's a group of occupational social workers who we get together. We've got somebody who organizes the group and provides us with different courses. I can take university courses that I want to take. Supervision I don't get, but what I do a lot is peer supervision and a lot of discussion with colleagues about how to resolve problems. We've got within the union, social work union, we've got
Chamber.
One of the chambers is occupational social work chapter. Yes, and I'm on the secretariat of the chapter, and we provide support for one another over the computer. We've got everybody's on the mailing list, and so questions go out, and people who can help one another gives advice and support. We sort of create our own system, but it's a problem because get engineers to understand the need for supervision.
Right, because I'm interested in that, because I'm listening to your story, and I'm interested in moving from direct care to corporate, in that way. And I was just wondering about kind of how you become familiar with the labor relations piece of the work that you're doing, and how do I start that? So I was thinking, well, I need to just go back to school and start going into maybe another intensive kind of like a HR, some kind of labor law track of some sort, but I don't know if I will be able to learn along the way, or if I'm just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it's difficult because when you've been working for a certain amount of time, and you have, your resume is, pages of direct practice, and there is there is kind of like an advancement track where you move up to supervision and management and director or whatever. But even with that, you're still missing a whole lot. So I think I'm trying to trying to bridge the gap and then transition out of that direct care.
I'll tell you what, the history of occupational social work in the States is a little bit different from the history of occupational social work in Israel, because the whole way of looking at social rights and social services
is more from a labor here, right?
and labor, of course. So social work, corporate social work, or industrial, occupational, it doesn't matter how you call it, in the States had a number of, started in a number of ways. One was through union work, the other was through EAPs, Employee Assistance Programs. I don't know.
That's where most of them are.
That's where most of them are. The other area that social workers went into a lot was diversity, which is very relevant for corporations in the States, which is also interesting for you with group work.
Like capacity building?
No, it's more multiculturalism, being culturally competent.
Yes.
And with a diverse workforce, that could be religious, ethnic,
gender,
right?
everything. How do you get this mixed workforce to work together? We have less problems with that, but that's because we've been exclusive. We don't have too many Arabs. The electricity company has, I don't know, about 3 or 4 Arabs among the 13,000 employees. We want to get more Arabs now. We're starting to work with more ultra-religious groups. We want to, as I said, we've got a group of disabled who've come in now, which we're incorporating into the group. But you see that the issues there, it's amazing with the ultra-religious groups. You can see that the company doesn't understand how to work with them. And of course they don't...
Not focused on that as...
And it's an issue because it goes on. You've got all these women whose issues are completely different from what they've been used to work, as managing, dealing with. So that's also a direction. I don't know how much it's relevant today. There's a woman in USC, I think, Michal Barak.
She's still there.
An Israeli who moved to LA, who's started off as doing a lot of work in occupational social work, and she talked about, she was here in Israel a few years back, and she talked about going into the diversity training issues and that sort of thing, doing research about it. You might want to look her up and see what she's got to say about it. and union work. But the question is, what are unions like today in the States? And they're even worse off than the unions in Israel. And I don't deal with unions. I am very clear about the fact that I have been employed by the management. I do informal work with the unions.
Because the employees are all unionized.
If I don't talk to them, I'll be in trouble. And if I do talk to them, I'll be in trouble.
It's really interesting because even the postings aren't listed, in the corporations. There's no social work postings. It's listed.
Maybe
different, different variations.
Yes,
language. You gotta kind of have
that sort of thing.
Get in where you fit in.
But we also have the issue of, and should all people who provide social services, and I'm talking about social in the broadest, not social worker, social services. Should they be social workers?
Yeah,
it's an issue also in Israel today.
So, just want to say that in our school, the person who is the most expert on that is Professor Kurzman, Paul Kurzman. He's written a lot of books on that. His World of Work, and he certainly, in his teaches community, he's in our community organizing track. He's certainly available to people. He loves to talk about it. He actually teaches a course in policy course. World of Work policy. Yeah, Ronnie, but we have to start. And feel free to join Ruthie on the side of Ronnie and keep talking. In small groups as we head back. But otherwise, we're going to get caught in another branch, which we don't want to do. So, where should we meet? You want to tell the? We're going back the same way.
You're going home.
Yeah, I'm saying, but do we want to tell? Do they know where to meet us?
Same place.
Okay, they know, but we have to just tell them that when we get close, so they'll be
there.
They're
waiting.
Okay. Okay, folks. So just formally, we're going to be walking back with them, but thank you both.
Thank you.
We could spend some more hours talking, of course.
Days.
We've got another cake. Is anybody hungry?
Yeah, we'll take it back. We'll take it if you want to.
My clothes will not fit if I eat
want
any more cake.
I think I will eat it all. I don't have it.
What is it?
Yes, the garbage is...
No, that's not garbage.
We'll eat it on the way.
You don't know?
We can't say you baked the cake, right, Ruthie?
No, I didn't bake the cake.
But you bought it by your own hand. That's the best place in Jerusalem.
Where's my knife? The knife is probably in...
Is there a knife around? Mine? Probably. No? Where's mine? I have to find mine.
Did anyone see a purple camera? I need to use the natural facilities.
So I just want to make sure. Okay, we'll stop for the natural facilities. Anyway, thank you folks for your flexibility. Yeah, we're going to be...
Okay. I'm going to cut up the cake. Or somebody who doesn't need natural facilities can cut up the cake. You're the expert?
Nick? Yeah, you want to, Nick?
You people want cake?
Yes, the people take it. Yes,
and I'll take the group down to contribute to the future of the trees.
Which way?
Continue the historical chain of 2,000 years.
Of 2,000 years. You can start walking down. We'll just go into the...
Ronnie, we'll just go in.
Does this belong to anybody?
What's 5 minutes though? I know you're like people coming.
What's this?
A bottle.
I have some of your water.
Yours? That's honey, right?
Okay. Well, I got
Who's coming to the tree?
The
Which way are we walking, Ruthie?
I'll take the tree people.
I'm coming.
The orchard people. The apple people.
I'll hold it. Oh, you go. Okay. We'll wait for him to cut the cake.
Actually, I was signifying this. had the caucus family.
Okay.
Amazing dog. Did you know our caucus?
No, not time.
He's 10 years old. Before we had the caucus spaniel.
That's how long I've been coming, 2002.
He was 15 years. And he was amazing. You know, he walked all around the neighborhood. You know, everybody knew him. And he was so smart.
Look at Lizzie. She loves her, huh?
So we trusted him also. You know, he could.
Oh, that's a different kind of babka. That's delicious too.
And then Ruti said, "I want a poodle because he keeps his hair, and you know." And I said, "No, poodle is, you know, not a dog for me." You know? And then she showed me this picture of an orphan poodle. He looked so sad, you know. I said, "Okay, let's have him." And then
you've had a dog ever since I know you.
He was so frightened of everybody. You know, he was like, you know, he was in how you call it?
Shock, trauma.
Dog shelter.
Dog trauma, yeah.
And then I discovered that the stick, the issue of the stick, it just changed his life.
That's wonderful. My poodle
Found the
never
mission.
would fetch. He refused to fetch.
I trained him to bring back, and I found out that we have many Russians. The Russians are very cultured about dogs.
They are?
Because he was a hunting dog, bears hunting dog. And now he's confused because Ruth is going this way, I'm here. So he's in the middle, he hates it.
Divided family. Kids hate that too, and divided families.
He's getting crazy. I don't know, I hope you won't lose him now. He just was running after her.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll still come back.
So he loved the stick. The stick became
talking about how he got the poodle and how he got him.
I mean,
he went to the Cocker Spaniel, but his wife found the picture.
He used to go like wolves.
Started with the orphan poodle. He was traumatized.
It's unbelievable. So he's a very special dog.
He has a great spirit.
Yeah. And he's 10 years old. He's not young.
Yeah, he acts young now.
I'm not doing what I used to. I used to throw him like, you saw, you know, he was climbing like a goat on the tree.
Good. Nick, you should.
Oh, it's looking very good.
Well, let's come because we're walking this way anyway, right? So come. This is another kind of babka. This has nuts and icing.
This is from Behrman
Bakery?
Bakery is the best.
Yeah.
The best in town.
Don't be too fancy. Use your fingers. Use your fingers. Yeah, this is a different one. This one is with nuts in it. This has, if anybody's allergic to nuts, it has nuts in it.
I don't think I see what's going on here.
Good cake, good cake.
Very good. I was in Mozambique 2011.
Anybody?
And
come.
we were trying to get this cake in line. Near far from Africa. We're leaving in a minute.
Ruth's uncle lives in Ghana. He's married to Ghanaian. And we went
Did you get a piece?
for journey with him for a month. On the Volta River. He wrote a book about the slavery trade. And we went with him to see the places he wrote about. It was amazing.
I think that's in Paris now.
I can't remember the name right. I think that would be the place where the slaves left as well as you were there.
Him? You like a picture of babka?
I was to Uganda. I'm going a lot now to Asia. I'm doing research in Asia.
Where?
In Sri Lanka. And now India maybe.
I'm going to do it in Jamaica. I'm from Jamaica. And we don't have a lot of social work. Well, I didn't know about social work in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So I went.
Oh, there's a nice Jamaican group.
Good.
Oh, yeah, there's a big group of Jamaican. Caribbean Social Work Association.
Right.
And the Jamaicans are very common in Jamaica.
Yeah, so I want to connect with them because I feel like I want to give back to my country.
I will tell you. I'll find out. And I'm happy to. There are people that we know.
Do you know what countries are part of this thing?
The Caribbean, Trinidad, Jamaica. I'm pretty sure that the DR, some of the Barbados. It's the Caribbean Association of Social Workers. You could look it up. Puerto Rico's a member of U.S.
Okay, let's go.
Puerto Rico's part of the United States.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, they're Professional Association of Social Workers. There's a chapter of the U.S. The Virgin Islands are a chapter of the U.S.
What about Panama? They're probably Latin America.
Could be, yeah. You know what, but I think obviously people will look it up, you know. I'm sure you probably need to Google it. I'm not sure if it's called Caribbean Association or Association of, but they come to our social work, the international meetings. That cake is delicious. She said it comes from one of the best bakeries in the So what happened to your camera? Battery?
Yeah, the battery's bad.
You have a charger?
Yes. I wonder if the corporate social workers make more than other social workers.
Probably. Or the bigger ones, probably, the bigger companies. But the smaller ones, well, depending on what they're hiring a social worker for. These big private management companies that the government contracts with, it's supposed to keep the same salary. Now that's for the workers, so, you know, not the management folks. She's not. You can serve the rest of us.
In regards to the conflict between sort of like who you're working for, what you guys were saying for the associate, how this is. I mean, it's not exactly the same issue.
But we have it. Any employee, any person is employed by a system that has clients, whether it's teachers. I just want to show you something. You see this little emblem? Mm-hmm.
In the morning.
These are marked trails. So there's hiking trails all over the country. I don't know what the symbol is, but the red, white, this would be a certain level. You know, there's a whole, what do you call it? Legend, you know, of the...
Let's say you're very hot. Very fit. This water so.
Yes?
Yes, I mean, I went down like birthday.
Thank you. I'm sorry, babe.
That's a good thing, you know.
I tried. I know. I mean, I definitely tried. I used to be much heavier. I never exercised.
She's staying in the shade as long as you can.
No, it doesn't stay in the shade. It's not even staying. It's absolutely clear.
Yeah, what's your name?
Aniana.
That's a beautiful name. Who else wants some cake? Oh, I just had a piece. It's delicious.
That I'm done.
You got to build it into a routine. If you don't build it into a routine, it's very hard. Now I'm so busy. I say, well, I'll go in the evening. Then the students, I'm not even getting tired. I have so much like to finish. By the time I look around 7:30, 8, then I'm tired. And my gym is, I have a gym in the winter. It can go. It's open till 11. But then you're tired. And sometimes I'll go in the morning. I used to be much better at getting up at 6. I can go in occasionally. So sometimes my exercise now is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Which isn't the best way to do it, but
I'm on the train for like 2 hours. I'm 9 hours at school and you come back and you 2 hours. You're tired.
You're very tired. If you get yourself, somebody said, if you get yourself here, 90% of the battle is getting there. Because once I get there and I'm doing it, I have my music, my iPod, my daughter helped me program. I have 150 of my favorite songs. It has changed my life.
Yeah,
That
music
exercise.
definitely helps.
I can run now. I'm listening. I used to think, why do I need that? I want to be in nature. Yeah, you can still be in nature, but you're listening to songs that you like. And if you say, oh, I'm just going to do 30 minutes of treadmill, I'm going to do it slowly, I don't care, just to get here. But you know what, once you're there, you start doing it, and sometimes I go to classes. I like classes a lot. It motivates me, but
I'm no good with gyms. I used to be a member of the gym, and it was like a donation.
They make a lot of money from people like you.
Yeah. So now I just work out at home, and it's been working. Like I put on
you put a tape, you have a tape, videos.
And that way it can fit around my schedule. I don't have to, because like you said, it's the hardest part, getting to the gym.
But you have to be motivated when you're on your own. It's very hard.
Once you set a routine.
So when do you do it? Because you're very fit. When do you do it?
I do fitness Mondays. Like this videos on YouTube that just have one person just telling me how to do it, and I put on my music, and then once I got into the habit of it, like when I didn't work out because I was doing it in the school, I could feel it.
I know, you don't feel good. Mental health, it's your mental health. 90% of it for me is my mental health, not the physical. Yeah. You feel better mentally.
Health and mental health works together.
100%. You tell somebody who's depressed, you said, well, I'll get you out of the depression, then you'll go to the gym. No. Get them into doing something physical,
absolutely.
And it changes their whole... Just like that woman said, remember that Baka and Akko? She said, the way we do individual stuff is we get them involved in the community, and then they have the sense that they can work on their own problems. Right. Often you might think, well, start with your own, and then you can work in the community. But I think it's the other. You're part of a group, you're part of something bigger. Well, if I can work on it, then I feel good about myself. It's interactive. What happened?
We're going the wrong way. We have to go back the other way. We're going to like that.
This way is also good, but it's not much steeper. So
we're going to go the other way?
We have to go down.
Did we go too far out of the way?
No, it's just...
asking for the dog. Danji!
We probably went the right way.
God, that's scary. It reminds me, Ronnie, you said that, I had a flashback to Josh. That horrible time in the 3rd grade. He was running with the housekeeper. They always go to the eye doctor in the subway, so that he thought it was that day or something, and he ran ahead to the subway and seemed he wasn't following. It was like the worst couple hours of my life. He ran down the subway, and I was waiting for him because I thought that was the direction to go. I think I told you that story.
I would go with this way, but it's not it's just down here. Around it.
Not too hot. It's not bad. It's hot, but... So I was saying, these are the markings for hiking, right?
Yeah. Another thing is for you must be international, all these international NGOs or something. They're doing projects because they also need somebody that...
The ones that I've seen pretty much say that you have to come. Some of them say you have to be prepared to kind of take care of yourself. Some of them offer a very small kind of stipend, but I haven't seen anything that was an actual structured position that would pay you. Exactly. So, okay.
Are you planning to stay in New York or you don't mind?
Don't mind.
like the
Well, most of them, you know, our university provides a lot of support, you know, for folks who are interested in looking at, you know, various areas. You know, we have that. There's a lot of mentorship there. But then also, you know, there are job fairs. So most of the time it's really kind of online thinking. And then you really being proactive about contacting people and finding out what's what. So, you know. Right, it's like, I think for me, like, with this trip, one of the biggest takeaways was seeing how transferable the skills, you know, how transferable the skills are. So, yeah, and like learning the language to use to properly communicate, you know, what you know and what you're trying to learn. So, it kind of helps to organize, you know, a guided search.
We went to several Mahmasim, some community centers. That one that was the first one, that first day, remember, with all the staff sitting around?
Mm-hmm. Flower in the garden?
Flower in the garden. And then it has, was it mental health services? But it's very normalized. You know, it doesn't, they're trying to, you know, destigmatize it. So it's part of, and it's sort of a community social worker that's developing the project. It's about the first neighborhood we were in Tel Aviv. Right? That was Tel Aviv. Yep. That was when the first group, right? We served this lunch. I remember it. But they brought some of the community activists and some of the folks. Actually, a young woman said her father was the activist and he couldn't come, so she came, like second generation. She was like a young Yemenite for some, you know, one of the parties. It was a community that was more supported.
And where did you stay?
Sherry, we went to Yadid. Yeah. In her office, a crowded office, but it was nice too because, right, she had some volunteers talking about Yadid, public housing issues, employment issues,
helping people manage, understand kind of what their rights are and how to move through the bureaucracy.
Yeah, this is amazing.
They really enjoyed Sherry, right?
We've been here before. We've been here to plan your visit, so we she was planning to come, but
today. No, but right, you loved her, right?
Yeah,
she was great. Yeah, she was wonderful.
We used to work together.
So Sherry and Ronnie started Shatil, right?
Oh, we went to Shatil?
At the very beginning it was being Sherry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
now
they started
Shatil.
Shatil. Yeah, we met with two of the graduate students who were last year in Elo with Edith, now they're third year community social workers in Shatil. And right, one of them was working on the big budget campaign, right, to stop the cuts.
Yeah,
and what was the other coalition? Remember, the one was the budget cuts, and the other was around rights, right? The rights of women, wasn't it? Around the religious issues, religious pluralism, wasn't it? Creative healing.
A track, like the stuff around,
it was around not just the stuff at the wall. So you know what Ronnie told me? He said they had a victory. That there was, so they took down. I didn't see the wall between the men and the women.
No, they didn't. It will take time, but they won.
They won in the court.
Yeah, now they try to. It's always timing. You know, you win when the timing is right. So now these guys, these liberal new parties that actually are so antisocial, more antisocial than Bibi, but they're anti-religious also. So they're now trying to bring more pluralism, religious pluralism, to show that they're successful. So now they're pushing with all their might to push all these things that waited for years. So it's good timing, very good timing, and they're ready to leave office for this thing.
Really? I mean,
for them, you know, they're using, it's amazing. It's like, this was the problem also with the big protest. I wrote about it in the paper also. It's like the middle class against the poor. This is, they represent the middle class. As if there is a conflict in the middle of the pool. It's not true. The guy is drinking all the time. They're becoming poor as well.
We saw that, right?
It should be a collision. But he tries to say, okay, I'm happy of making all this stuff, but I will force the Orthodox to go to the army. I will let religious tourism. You know, all these things, so they tend to move the attention away from all this stuff.
No, I didn't.
Very disappointing. We have two disappointments, this election and the election in the Social West Union.
But the woman who won?
I mean, it was like...
Well, Yossi knew he wouldn't win.
We had the one, no, I told him from the very beginning. But we had a good, very good, there was a very good young, progressive,